Chapter 528, Filling the Heavens, Montana. 2. Chapter 528, Filling the Heavens, Montana. 2. I quickly traced the remaining memories of Seo Huiol. After awakening from sleep, reaffirming his oath that pierces through his identity, and establishing his goal, he gradually seized control of the Yuan clan from his state as an experimental subject. Without even using tainted soul filling the heavens much, he captivated the people of the Yuan clan with his unique eloquence and charm, collapsing the clan solely through schemes and strategies. Afterward, he branded the direct blood descendants of the Yuan clan with the mark of slavery, making them the first sacrifices of tainted soul filling the heavens in the real world. Having destroyed the Yuan clan, Seo Huiol embarked on a long and arduous journey, striving to get even slightly closer to the identity of the voice that awakened him in Agat's dream. He returned to the base of the sea dragon race while wearing the body of one of them. Gradually mastering tainted soul filling the heavens, he eventually succeeded in ascending to the throne of the Sea Dragon King. However, his identity is not inherently tied to the Sea Dragon race. After all, he was originally a character in a dream in the form of a human. In fact, reflecting upon the hazy yet happy memories of his childhood, he is neither male nor female. Yet he deliberately maintained the form of a sea dragon male, focusing his efforts on controlling the sea dragon race. The first reason for wearing the guise of the sea dragon race is simple. The body he first possessed upon awakening was that of a sea dragon male. Thus, Seo Huiol considers this sea dragon male identity to be connected in some way to the mysterious owner of the voice. No, even if he is entirely mistaken, maintaining this form would still provide an advantage when attempting to reach the owner of the voice by eliminating potential unknown variables. The second reason lies in his essence. Having devoured agate, consumed purple soul filling the heavens, and directly observed the Akashic records hidden within the head realm, Seo Huiol had drawn in and merged several hidden powers and authorities of the head realm into his configuration. The power born from the collected ancient forces of the head realm became tainted soul filling the heavens. Ultimately, tainted soul filling the heavens was created by absorbing and rearranging the ancient forces of the head realm with purple soul filling the heavens as the central axis and merging them with agate's authority. The most suitable medium for purple soul filling the heavens, at present, is the bloodline of the sea dragon race. Seo Huiol read the split soul of blood Yin he dominated, gaining insight into ancient records and fragments of blood Yin's memories. Thus, Seo Huiol learned of the lineage of purple soul filling the heavens, which flows through blood Yin, Hien Eum, and Jia Eum. In order to overturn that lineage and gradually reverse dominate Jia Eum, Hien Eum, and blood Yin, he requires the body of the sea dragon race. These two main reasons, along with numerous other intertwining factors, solidified Seo Huiol's identity as a sea dragon male with a gentle smile. Having seized control of the sea dragon race, Seo Huiol hunted down the escaped fugitives of the Yuan clan, gradually becoming more proficient in the operation of tainted soul filling the heavens. Eventually, the position once held by the Yuan clan was claimed by the Zhou clan amidst countless power struggles, and Seo Huiol began to extend his influence into the Zhou clan as well, finding their origins peculiar. He schemed and sowed chaos across the world, spreading tainted soul filling the heavens far and wide, manipulating all civilizations and societies of the head realm. As the entire world gradually filled with Seo Huiol's, he delved deeper into researching the head realm itself, uncovering the various powers intertwined within it. One prominent example was the Black Castle, the former home of the Yuan clan. By studying the underground laboratory beneath the Black Castle, he discovered that it was connected to the Lightning Sacred Sea. At the same time, Seo Huiol read ancient records related to Ascension Path, and, through the techniques engraved upon Ascension Path, learned what is sealed at the center of the Sky Island. Simultaneously, he investigated the origins of the Zhou clan, and to experiment with Yin and Yun, found within blood Yin's split soul, he manipulated the connection between Zhou Yun and Haon. Of course, in that process, something even Seo Huiol could not have anticipated. His lifelong greatest adversary, the Mad Lord, was born. Nevertheless, Seo Huiol witnessed the destruction of the Zhou clan and traced back the flow of their life and death, the origin of their attraction force. Through this, he came to learn of something far more significant than the destruction of the Zhou clan or the birth of his greatest adversary. He discovered where the Zhou clan originally came from. Serving Command Palace. The Zhou clan was nothing more than a lineage of mortals who lived within Serving Command Palace under the orders of cultivators, managing spiritual medicine on their behalf. At some point, while living in the depths of Serving Command Palace, the emergence of something called the Extraordinary Pattern Law Talent led them to leave Serving Command Palace and form the Zhou clan. Co Huiol began investigating Serving Command Palace and gained a certain amount of understanding about the existence known as extraordinary pattern law talent. Afterward, while being pursued by the Mad Lord, he managed to enter Serving Command Palace. At the center of Serving Command Palace, after discovering an immortal treasure called the Serving Command Seal, he realized who exists within this Serving Command Seal. The Mad Lord, observing the structure of the Serving Command Palace and the immortal treasure Serving Command Seal, gained inspiration about the relationship between the world's attraction force, fate, and the method to summon history. The Mad Lord began laying the foundation for the Yun's plan, while Co Huiol discovered a critical clue about the Head Realm, the fragment of a true immortal's dream, discovered within the Serving Command Seal. Through it, Co Huiol obtained the clue that the Head Realm is actually alive. Although he had seen the Akashic records, he only understood the origin of his birth and could not uncover the various truths he was unaware of. Therefore, this realization terrified Co Huiol. He thought he had escaped from the dream. But what if this world they live in is the inside of someone's living head? If so, then what difference is there between this entire world and the dream world? After learning this truth, Co Huiol became even more ruthless, abandoning all hesitation in his methods and means. As he infiltrated the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect, the records of the existence known as the Golden Divine Yang Sujin, which he discovered there, gradually solidified his conviction. Golden Divine realized that the beings of the Head Realm are nothing more than entities confined within a dream, and even coined the term non-human. Non-human. Yes, everything in the Head Realm is non-human. They are nothing but supporting characters in a dream, like Co Huiol. Therefore, Co Huiol became even more ruthless. Everyone in this world is a supporting character in a dream. They are just characters in a dream, playthings of true immortals, born only to be mocked and toyed with. Yes, they are. Nothing more than pieces on a stage. For this reason, Co Huiol resolved to become even more ruthless and even more meticulous. He had to focus on his role. Even those infected by tainted soul filling the heavens had to maintain their roles. Although he infected the entire Head Realm with tainted soul filling the heavens, he left everyone's personalities intact, allowing them to live according to the roles suitable for their lives. Because the true immortals must not notice anything strange. Because the Head Realm must not detect the anomaly known as Co Huiol and erase him. At the same time, to explore the identity of the Head Realm as naturally as possible, Co Huiol created the Sea Dragon race astronomers. He did not birth many of them. The astronomers created by Co Huiol numbered around 3. His direct descendants, Co Yun and Co Hian, a father and son, and John Hiang. If there were too many astronomers, they might glimpse the truth of the Head Realm and witness something so dangerous that it could shake tainted soul filling the heavens. Co Huiol, having created only as many astronomers as he could control, diluted the tainted soul filling the heavens within them as much as possible before allowing them to observe the Head Realm. Co Huiol also revealed to them vague truths about the celestial phenomena of the Head Realm. One of the memories from the split soul of Bloodine, the truth that the sun and moon of the Head Realm are actually eyes. By simply informing them in a roundabout way that the sun and moon are fixed, he hoped they would yield results more quickly. However, during astronomical observation, Co Yun, Co Huiol's descendant and Co Hian's father, had his very personality sucked into the sky. If the concentration of tainted soul filling the heavens had been higher, Co Huiol himself might have been sucked in as well. Shuddering at the terror of the Head Realm, Co Huiol transferred his main body into Co Yun, whose soul had been entirely pulled from his body, and passed on the position of Sea Dragon King Co Huiol to Co Yun. In any case, since the original soul had already been completely removed, transferring his main body was relatively easy. From the beginning, the first Sea Dragon race body he had obtained belonged to an experimental subject from the Yuan clan and thus did not have a long lifespan. Co Huiol's very first body was nearing the end of its life. Co Huiol modified his original main body and turned it into a building for the Sea Dragon astronomers. He then floated the initial body above the southernmost sky of the Head Realm, allowing the remaining astronomers to more easily observe celestial phenomena while also laying the foundation for his plans. The remaining Sea Dragon astronomers were only Co Hian and John Hiang. Fearful of his soul being ripped away in the Head Realm, Co Huiol diluted the concentration of tainted soul filling the heavens within them as much as possible. But perhaps because of that, Co Hian began to slip out of Co Huiol's control. Suddenly, he started saying he wanted to quit the dull life of an astronomer and become a Sea Dragon warrior instead. Tainted soul filling the heavens was so diluted that it barely had any effect, and perhaps because Co Huiol's body originally belonged to Co Hian's father, Seo Hyun frequently ignored Seo Huil's words. After all, Seo Hyun was Seo Yun's only child, and he seemed to believe that Seo Huil would not dare to threaten his sole heir too severely. To drive Seo Hyun back to the comfortable life of an astronomer through the fear of death, Seo Huil sent him to the front lines of conflict and war stirred by the Sea Dragon race. He sent him to the battlefield against Black Ghost Valley. In any case, most of those in Black Ghost Valley were also Seo Huil's, so they would not actually kill Seo Hyun. Seo Huil planned to manipulate them carefully, driving Seo Hyun to the brink of death, utterly crushing his dreams, and plunging him into miserable despair before dragging him back to his role as an astronomer. At first, the plan seemed to proceed smoothly, as if carried by fair winds. However, the problem arose with the birth of a being named Yu-Oh in the head realm. Seo Huil immediately realized that Yu-Oh was a fragment of a split soul of the Nether Ghost Realm Sacred Master. Because the vast majority of those who ascended to the upper realm from the head realm already carried tainted soul filling the heavens after Seo Huil opened his eyes. Every ascendant from the head realm was practically a carrier after the blooming of tainted soul filling the heavens. He had already sent numerous clones to ascend to the upper realm. It was only natural for him to have identified Yu-Oh. Thus, Seo Huil decided to erode Yu-Oh. Yu-Oh is not just an ordinary sacred master. Baek-Woon comes from a true person background. Jia-Yum is the split soul of Blood Yin's split soul. Ban-Ta and Hei-Lin can be said to be typical examples of the sacred vessel stage, but Yu-Oh is a fragment of the reincarnation Judge Nether Ghost True Lord Yusu Ryan. The reincarnation judge is said to know the secret of resurrection. Because she is the fragment of such an entity, the sooner he could obtain her, the more momentum Seo Huil's plan would gain. Although Seo Hyun, like John Hyang, carried only a faint concentration of tainted soul filling the heavens, Seo Huil still began to have Seo Hyun interact with Yu-Oh. Lest Yu-Oh, who is of the same sacred vessel stage, sensed the aura of tainted soul filling the heavens, Seo Huil deliberately used Seo Hyun, who carried only a faint trace of it, to make contact with her. It began when Yu-Oh was still young. From that time, Seo Huil consistently facilitated contact between Seo Hyun and Yu-Oh, attempting to erode Yu-Oh through Seo Hyun with tainted soul filling the heavens. That's where the problem arose. At first, tainted soul filling the heavens began to gradually seep into Yu-Oh, but at some point, specifically, after Yu-Oh came of age, Yu-Oh, who continued making contact with Seo Hyun, stopped being affected by tainted soul filling the heavens. Instead, Seo Hyun, who already had a faint concentration of tainted soul filling the heavens, started ignoring Seo Huil's orders. At that time, Seo Huil suspected Yu-Oh. He speculated that she had used some unknown immortal art to pull Seo Hyun away from his grasp. Eventually, a child was conceived between Yu-Oh and Seo Hyun. Seo Huil grew extremely wary of Yu-Oh, focusing all his attention on her attitude. He believed that Yu-Oh intended to wield some dreadful immortal art through her child with Seo Hyun. This is because after conceiving the child, for some reason, there were individuals around Yu-Oh who began to break free from the influence of tainted soul filling the heavens. Seo Huil could no longer leave Yu-Oh unchecked. Thus, he made the big decision and resolved to erode Yu-Oh with the power of the main body, the heart of the main body, and the accompanying oath of hatred. The pain created by the fusion of these two was something even Yu-Oh would not be able to endure. Seo Huil trapped Seo Hyun and Yu-Oh in a scheme that led them to their deaths. Seo Hyun was executed by decapitation at Seo Huil's hands on charges of treason, and Yu-Oh felt immense pain and guilt because of it. Seo Huil took advantage of that vulnerability and secretly sent himself into Yu-Oh's fetus. In this way, Yu-Oh lost her child to Seo Huil. What entered in its place was Seo Huil, masquerading as Yu-Oh's child, intending to erode her directly from within her body with his power. Then, the real problem began from there. The connection with the main body became distorted. The main body, containing the heart, began to break down. Instead of receiving the rightful name Seo Huil, it took the name Seo Ran and began to act independently. Seo Huil realized it. Between the main body and himself, an impurity named Seo Ran had wedged itself. And before Seo Huil could even begin to erode Yu-Oh, Yu-Oh gave all her life force to Seo Ran, grew weaker, and eventually died. Seo Huil brought the Seo Ran left behind by Yu-Oh to the Sea Dragon Palace and searched for a way to repair his broken main body. In the end, the only way to repair the main body was to destroy the impurity that is Seo Ran that existed between it and himself, resetting Seo Ran's personality by forcing him to commit suicide. That was Seo Huil's plan. Another problem emerged here. John Hyang, who had thus far obeyed Seo Huil's orders relatively well, finally lost her mind while observing the celestial phenomena of the head realm. At some point, she began spreading insane words like, "The sea dragon race's astronomers are disappearing one by one." This was even though after Seo Hyun left, she had been the only remaining astronomer of the sea dragon race. It seemed that in exchange for seeking the celestial phenomena of the head realm, madness had taken root in her mind. That madness was reminiscent of the Mad Lord, making it very unpleasant. But Seo Huil did not kill her directly, but instead let her be. After she became consumed by the madness that there are many astronomers of the sea dragon race, but their numbers are decreasing because of Seo Huil. For some reason, her achievements began to skyrocket insanely. The head realm may have given her madness, but it seemed to have also bestowed some kind of special ability upon her. Though she was mad, she accomplished achievements that would require multiple people working together entirely on her own. And within a few years, she brilliantly proved several facts and hypotheses about the head realm that Seo Huil had been wanting. The structure of the head realm, the flow of the head realm's power, the fact that the head realm is asleep, and the phenomena that would occur when the head realm awakes from its slumber. Zhang Hyang proved all those hypotheses and deductions, and even revealed secrets about the head realm that Seo Huil himself was unaware of. She delivered not only everything Seo Huil desired, but even more. However, at that point, Seo Huil began to sense danger from Zhang Hyang. Her madness was gradually worsening, starting from the nonsensical delusion that the astronomers of the sea dragon race are decreasing one by one. Each time one of these imagined astronomers disappeared in her delusions, her madness grew stronger and more entrenched. The moment that madness reached its peak was precisely when she was under the delusion that she was all alone. Fortunately, Zhang Hyang often stayed with Seo Ran, which greatly reduced the frequency of her thinking she is all alone. However, the very act of keeping such a lunatic by Seo Ran's side was an immense gamble for Seo Huil. Thus, Seo Huil decided to separate the dangerous monster Zhang Hyang from Seo Ran as quickly as possible. Seo Huil sent Seo Ran to a distant corner of the Sea Dragon Palace, as if exiling him. Afterward, he planned to kill Zhang Hyang, whose madness was increasingly resembling that of the Mad Lord. And so, on the day of the mass ascension, Seo Huil finally succeeded in ambushing and killing Zhang Hyang, who seemed on the verge of transforming into a second Mad Lord. Then, after burning and crushing her remains, which had already begun turning into strange stone, he found the traces of her madness that she had hidden away. He discovered her diary and implanted tainted soul filling the heavens there, ensuring it could affect Seo Ran in case of an emergency. Having resolved all these issues, as Seo Huil meticulously crafted his future plans without leaving room for a single error within the deepest depths of tainted soul filling the heavens, he headed for Ascension Path. This is the past of Seo Huil that I have seen until now. Only now can I seem to understand you. I engrave Seo Huil's memories into my heart. This is his past. The life of Seo Huil, who was born as a worthless supporting character in a meaningless dream and spent his entire life striving to prove his worth. Through Seo Huil's memories, through the suffering and Kutung contained within those memories, I can feel the Seo Huil currently fleeing away. He is wailing like an evil spirit, pouring out dreadful resentment towards the already vanished Seo Ran. At this very moment, the mysterious smile that wrapped Seo Huil is stripped away. Everything about him, in the end, has been recorded in my canvas of myriad forms and connections. Only today, at last, have I torn away all the mysterious veils that shrouded Seo Huil. Finally, Wawung, the candle flame of the torch of myriad forms and connections blazes even more fiercely. The canvas of myriad forms and connections, scattered across the universe, reveals itself more clearly. The starting point of the immortal art I have attained, my innate true method, crystal glass to treading sea, is something I imbued my entire life into. Within my life, everything I have learned, everything I have experienced, mastered, and observed, all of it has been melted down, refined, and forged into this innate true method. That is crystal glass to treading sea. Crystal glass to treading sea possesses a total of 9 abilities and forms. Why crystal glass to treading sea was refined into 9 forms within my heart is something even I am not entirely certain of. However, the only assumption I have is the name Gujuhu. 9 kinds of categories, 9 ups and downs. I don't know who first told me the term 9 categories, nor can I recall its exact meaning. The only thing I can remember is that perhaps 9 categories symbolizes the suffering inherent to life. Guju. I wonder if the unknown events of that 16th cycle may have influenced crystal glass to treading sea to be refined into 9 forms. First form, twin flowers, Songwalk. Second form, sword sea, Feng. Third form, Heavenly Shatter, Kensui. Fourth form, Avicii, Wujian. Fifth form, Mysterious Bazaar, Chigat. Sixth form, Wind Painting, Fengtu. Seventh form, Ghost Face, Killing Heaven, Gaimeng Lutan. Eighth form, Myriad Forms and Connections, Wanzhong Yinyan. The suffixes such as reaching the heavens, star body, furnace, and torch are just other ways of saying combat form. The true names of these 9 categories forms, Zhouchouxing, are as they are. And today, I have completed the final form of Crystal Glass to Treading Sea, the form that had remained incomplete until now. The final form forged with extinguishing divine, tribulating heavens, and tainted soul filling the heavens as its raw materials. Crystal Glass to Treading Sea. Ninth form, filling the heavens governing view, Mongtan Yurlan. Translator notes, filling the heavens governing view is Ilam, which is probably wordplay on Sengtarom, which is from the idiom Chinga Ilan. That means blue comes from indigo, but is better than indigo, figuratively meaning that the student surpasses the master. Chapter 529, Filling the Heavens, Montan. 3. Somewhere in the distant astral realm. Fleeing from Xiao Unhyun's relentless pursuit, Xiao Huiol smooths his previously twisted expression that was distorted like an evil spirit back into an expressionless face and firmly grips Han Wan and Yun Wei on both sides. Within them, he begins to seize the souls of In and Yun. Even if it's agonizing, there's nothing that can be done right now. Xiao Huiol begins to open the eye he has regained. Bulge, 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 bulge. Eyeballs begin to sprout all over his body. A dark red aura engulfs him, and eyes emerge not only on Xiao Huiol's arms, legs, and body but also across his face and even on his clothes, covering him entirely. Chuck, 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 chuck. What must be done now is to use the authority of the vast, cold, heavenly Lord, which I seized in this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and push my original plan forward in one decisive sweep. Wai Yang. The attraction force between Han Wan and Yun Wei begins to grow stronger, but they cannot reach each other. Xiao Huiol's eye distorts their attraction force, transmitting it across the Xiao Huiol's scattered throughout the universe and twisting its direction. As a result, while the attraction force grows stronger, the misaligned direction prevents them from meeting, causing the force to grow endlessly without resolution. The Xiao Huiol scattered throughout the sun and moon heavenly domain relay the attraction force of In and Yun, gradually guiding its direction astray. Gradually, the attraction force grows stronger. This attraction force originates from the vast cold heavenly Lord, once known as the strongest heavenly Lord. When the attraction force of the universe reaches its peak, the universe meets the end. Wuwong. The end of the universe, which has been advancing little by little under the phenomena extinguishing mantra, begins to accelerate rapidly. Immortal cultivation is progress. The will of someone reverberates across the entire universe, and the sun and moon heavenly domain begins to progress rapidly towards the end. Empowered by the attraction force of the end, the countless Xiao Huiol scattered across the sun and moon heavenly domain begin to laugh in unison. Ho ho, ho ho ho, ho ho ho. Chuck, 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 chuck. The Xiao Huiol simultaneously place their hands behind their backs, look up at the sky, and laugh. It's a shame I couldn't obtain Bloodine, but there's no choice. I'll have to gamble. Bulge, 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 bulge. And then, countless eyeballs burst forth from the bodies of Xiao Huiol's. It's a chilling, dark red gleam. Tainted soul filling the heavens. Wai Yang. Immediately after, the sun and moon heavenly domain begins to be dyed a dark red. Complete release, Wanchen Kaifeng. Xiao Huiol recalls one of the truths about the head realm he learned through Zhan Hiang. When the sun and moon heavenly domain meets the end. At the moment of the end, the place where everything compresses is the head realm. Although the place of restart lies somewhere far away in the interdimensional void. Still, at the conclusion of the universe, everything is inevitably drawn toward the head realm. Therefore, the occurrence of the end ultimately means everything can be absorbed into the head realm. The yin and yang of vast cold exchanges an increasingly intense and strong attraction force and accelerates the end. Xiao Huiol recalls the legend of the vast cold heavenly Lord. The vast cold heavenly Lord, who is said to have altered the conditions for the end of an entire heavenly domain. The most respected and beloved friend in the memory of Blood Yin's split soul, yet also the most terrifying existence. Perhaps it is because such a being's power resides within the spirit bodies. When it comes to the end, it seems to react even faster than Xiao Unhyun's phenomena extinguishing mantra. Such an ominous thing must be why Blood Yin hurriedly sealed it away in the true devil realm. Regardless, precisely because it is the head realm. If Xiao Huiol accelerates the end of the world with attraction force, it will be solely Xiao Huiol's feat. Through that achievement, Co Huiol plans to dye the entire sun and moon heavenly domain with tainted soul filling the heavens, even if only for a fleeting moment. And the head realm, having absorbed the world stained with tainted soul filling the heavens, will ultimately consume all of Co Huiol's tainted soul filling the heavens and will complete Co Huiol's plan. Co Huiol will finally meet the truth he desires. Just when the attraction force of Yin and Yang, held tightly in Co Huiol's grasp, reaches its peak, Co Huiol suddenly hears something echoing in his ears. Kaduk. It's agate. The existence that, after being swallowed by his tainted soul filling the heavens, remains in the deepest depths within it, serving only as his computational mechanism. That agate now laughs hysterically as if driven mad. I've been deceived too. This is the strength of your adversary. Co Huiol. That is what has been contaminating you all this time. And then, Co Huiol sees it. The sight of something beginning to fill the entire universe. No, a faint, hazy mist that has already been filling the entire universe. And Co Huiol sees it. The gazes visible within that mist. Countless silhouettes seem to flicker within the mist. And those silhouettes, like starlight, pierce through the mist and meet Co Huiol's gaze. The eyeballs of Co Huiol's tainted soul filling the heavens and the gazes beyond the mist collide. Co Huiol shudders unconsciously. Only now does he understand. Only after witnessing it with his own eyes can he understand. From the very beginning. The countless eyeballs of Co Huiol scattered across the entire sun and moon heavenly domain lose their dark red light before the hundreds of billions of gazes shining through the pale mist. From those gazes, Co Huiol feels a strangely familiar sensation. That's definitely the truth that I was loved, that alone, will never disappear. So, my heart too, will never disappear. Yes, those gazes somehow resemble the gaze of at that final moment. It will not disappear. Even if it vanishes right before the eyes, somewhere deep within the heart, it will definitely remain. Co Huiol somehow feels as if such a will is being conveyed from those gazes. At the same time, the pale white light begins to overwhelm the dark red light. Was bound by a leash. Whether Co Huiol seizes Co Ran or not. From the very beginning, unless he escapes the sun and moon heavenly domain, he cannot escape from him. Finally, a voice as solemn as that of a god reverberates throughout the entirety of the sun and moon heavenly domain, filling the heavens governing view, Montan Yurlan. Kugugugugu. Co Huiol understands. At some point, he entrusted himself to a gamble, acted arrogantly, and naturally threw himself into hollow hope. Agate calculated while observing such a Co Huiol and informed him that he is mad. Co Huiol ignored Agate's words. Because he had no reason to go mad. Because he had no reason to be contaminated. Madness or contamination only occurs due to related causality. Nothing happens without a reason. And within the knowledge and logic Co Huiol possessed, there existed no causality by which he could go mad or be contaminated. Thus, he one-sidedly dismissed Agate's words. However, facing the origin of his contamination, Co Huiol must now admit it. He has become contaminated. He has become mad. From the very beginning. Yes, precisely from the moment he first laid eyes on Co Eunhyun's canvas of myriad forms and connections. Complete release, Wanchen Kaifeng. The final form of Co Eunhyun's crystal glass to treading C9 categories form, which has been subtly contaminating Co Huiol since long before, spreads across the sun and moon heavenly domain and finally begins to reveal its full power. Just when did you start to mistake tainted soul filling the heavens as being above the canvas of myriad forms and connections? A life of failure upon failure upon failure upon failure upon failure upon failure. My life is one where I have repeatedly experienced failure. My soul is a mountain built upon failure. And my failures are not just tools for repentant enlightenment. Can't the canvas of myriad forms and connections be used to attack an opponent? The result of such research, repentant enlightenment, and training is this secret art that has only been completed today, filling the heavens governing view. However, even before its completion, it has already been scattering across the entire universe, slowly. So slowly that even Co Huiol himself didn't realize it, and it has been eating away at him. If Co Huiol's tainted soul filling the heavens is an immortal art that brainwashes the entire world into becoming himself, taking over every role, and turning himself into the favorable protagonist, mine is the opposite. I fill the heavens by exposing my failures, causing others to be unconsciously influenced by my experiences of failure. By watching my life filled only with failures, they unknowingly learn from it. And naturally, the first thing someone influenced by this immortal art learns is my own failure. Co Huiol unknowingly learned and used the failures deeply stacked within my history. I did not create a path for myself to become the protagonist. What I created is a secret art that turns everyone in the world into failures. A secret art that makes everyone a failure, and amidst failure and despair, enables them to understand the world anew. That is filling the heavens governing view, now finally completed today. After fully blooming filling the heavens governing view, I rise from my seat as I watch Xiao Huiol fleeing with Oh Hyasio, Han Wan, and Yun Wei. Wawum. In the next moment, I split apart. The me sitting down, and the me rising from my seat. The me who rises looks back at me and speaks. I'll protect them and come back. I smile and reply. Go and show them. Nod. The me who nods puts strength into the legs and briefly closes the eyes. Kuguguguk. As a martial artist, the power of heaven and earth begins to concentrate on my legs. The heaven and earth spiritual energy from all of cedarwood painting gathers and surges into my legs. Pot. For an instant, my lower body seems to turn translucent, and countless muscles in my lower body become visible to the naked eye. Each muscle burns fiercely, filled entirely with heaven and earth spiritual energy. And at the moment when the spiritual energy concentrated in my legs reaches its peak, I unfold the body movement technique that has accompanied me for hundreds of thousands of years. Record of transcending cultivation and exhausting martial arts, severing mountain swordsmanship, dragon vein chi method, and other martial arts have evolved across the ages, integrating with earth tribe methods, merging within the three great ultimates, and have repeatedly transformed, transcending upon transcending. But this one fact has never changed. Remaining unchanged, this martial art of mine refined with utmost dedication and passion to master the foundation. The foundation of a martial artist is the lower body. The foundation I have forged over hundreds of thousands of years now roars with might as it unleashes the fruits of all those efforts. Not the ground shrinking technique that uses attraction force, nor teleportation arts, nor dimensional leaps. This is purely a body movement technique achieved through martial arts. Mountain Lord's transcending peaks flight. Kururu. As a martial artist, I begin to leap thousands of light years in a single step. As a heaven tribe, I stop myself from reaching out my arm to grab Xiao Huiol. Xiao Huiol begins to flee even faster, but I do not lose him. Xiao Huiol uses every possible secret art to distance himself from me. Yet the more he struggles, the narrower the gap between us becomes. Kururu. As my body rapidly displaces the heaven and earth spiritual energy of the universe, it generates waves of spiritual energy that sounds like the roar of a tiger. The mountain lord, Sanjin, surpasses great peaks, yet, and begins to soar, Fei. Let its momentum fill the heavens, Montensha. A colossal tiger crosses the horizon of countless starlights, relentlessly pursuing Xiao Huiol. Finally, I leap across the long years and arrive behind Xiao Huiol. Xiao Huiol turns around, startled. He must be surprised. He must be wondering how I could catch up to him so quickly when even the power of a heaven tribe's sacred master could not. I kindly forego explanations, keeping my mouth shut, and instead prepare my ultimate technique to strike Xiao Huiol. The mountain lord merely reigns silently, spreading its will. Those who fear the master of the mountain do not even attempt to flee. They simply freeze in place as the distance closes on its own. For the past 5,000 years. No, ever since the 15th cycle when Xiao Huiol began to properly toy with me. To punish a being like Xiao Huiol whose heart has rotted away, I have studied and researched tirelessly for this single move. Inside cedarwood painting, to the cedarwood mountain etched inside the mandala, to cedarwood grove, where I have stood alongside countless others of the heart tribe, to the innumerable cedars that have supported me for millennia. I stretch my arm with a mighty roar, severing mountain swordsmanship, Don Yurjanfa. 35th move, Di Sun Shrujal. Cedarwood, Sanu. Boom. Though it is swordsmanship, what is unleashed is a single fist. No, since the sword has long become one with my soul, it doesn't matter whether it is a fist or a sword. It is merely that its visible form takes the shape of a fist, and my fist slams directly into Xiao Huiol's face. Pawak. The sound of flesh colliding with flesh. That simple yet lively sound reverberates and spreads across the airless cosmic space as a hard essence. Immediately after, across the entire universe, every face of Xiao Huiol infected by tainted soul filling the heavens is thrown back as if they were struck in the same way by me. Kawak. And, for the first time, Xiao Huiol's genuine scream bursts forth before me. Translator notes. Mountain Lord's transcending peaks flight was previously translated as Mountain Lord's soaring flight. Chapter 530, Filling the Heavens, Montan. 4. Xiao Huiol's flustered appearance makes me smile faintly. Pack. Once again, my fist strikes Xiao Huiol's nose bridge. Pack. Pajik. Pajajijik. Then, I begin pummeling Xiao Huiol once more. This, what is? The words he had been speaking through mental speech are now uttered aloud. Xiao Huiol tries to melt into the darkness to escape, but I headbutt him right in the face. Quong. A dull ringing fills my skull. A look of shock blooms across Xiao Huiol's face. He reverts from his shadowy form back into his original appearance. Seeing this, I grin. That's a good look. He is no longer the emotionless Xiao Huiol from before. Now, after dissolving Xiao Ran, he has completely regained his heart. Previously, I had only barely managed to provoke a reaction from him by eroding his empty heart with filling the heavens governing view. But this time it's different. This time, he's truly flustered. Seeing the genuine bewilderment on Xiao Huiol's face makes me feel strangely satisfied. How should I put this? Yes, it's pure. The pure, genuine face of this guy is making me smile. Puck. My fist smashes into Xiao Huiol's jaw again. His face seems to cave in for a moment before he hurtles towards a nearby planet. Pot. I chase after him in an instant and grab his head as I slam him down onto the planet's surface. Quong. In the next moment, Xiao Huiol is glaring up at me with dark red eyes. How did you do it? What do you mean? Are you asking me to lecture you on our theories and techniques, even though you're neither a martial artist nor a warrior? I too. Xiao Huiol looks up at me with dark red eyes and a hardened expression from beneath my foot. Understand the principles of the Heart Tribe's techniques. Ha ha ha. I let out a hearty laugh. The plane of soul. That uncertain, indeterminate dimension between the plane of Qi and the plane of fate. Projecting your ideology and thoughts into that uncertainty and fixing it in the direction you desire. That technique, and the beings capable of wielding such a technique. That is what the Heart Tribe is it not? From what I hear, it seems he doesn't understand anything from our perspective, but he has his own insights. I nod in acknowledgement. For now, let's say that's true. Then what don't you understand? That you're weak. That's not it. What I'm curious about is... Xiao Huiol looks up at me with confused eyes. I smile bitterly at that gaze and remove my foot from his chest. Why your attacks hurt? I smile softly. Isn't it obvious, Xiao Huiol? Life forms, originally, get hurt when hit. I understand what he's trying to say. Don't speak bullshit. Xiao Huiol's face contorts. It must be some secret art of yours. Because you've seen my memories. Because that bastard exposed all my truths to you. Did you not cast some secret art on me based on what you saw from my past? Unfortunately, I'm not using any special secret art on you. I look down at the contorted Xiao Huiol with a peaceful smile. As expected, you're curious. Regarding just how it is that you're able to feel pain, I mean. Isn't that right, self-proclaimed incarnation of pain, Xiao Huiol? The reason for his confusion is obvious. He's bewildered by the very fact that he is feeling pain. At a glance, it might sound like utter nonsense to anyone overhearing. But having seen Xiao Huiol's memories, I immediately understand the reason for his confusion. Because he became pain itself. He became tainted soul filling the heavens precisely to avoid suffering, and yet he's feeling pain. It must be bewildering. Until now, Xiao Huiol has never felt pain. Even in the 15th cycle, when he was forced to drink a potion that multiplied pain 60,000 times, he revealed the essence of tainted soul filling the heavens and overcame it in an instant. Of course, there were moments when Xiao Huiol appeared to feel pain. For example, when hearing the true names of true immortals or governing immortals, or when failing to withstand the rank of an entity too far above his level. But even in those moments, he didn't truly experience pain. He merely received a shock. Shock is nothing more than a powerful stimulus. And pain and stimuli are fundamentally different things. Making himself into a configuration and becoming tainted soul filling the heavens is Xiao Huiol. For someone like him, it's only natural to be unable to feel pain. Whether he gained Xiao Ran, his main body, or his heart, it's still the same. Even if he's reclaimed his soul, a being arranged into such a configuration shouldn't be capable of feeling pain. Can letters feel pain? Can drawings feel pain? Can this mass of configurations, whose personality has been fragmented into information and configured, feel pain? It might feel shock, but it cannot feel pain. And yet, I clench my fist and continue pummeling Xiao Huiol. My punches gradually become lighter and faster. And at some point, as expected, I see it. A certain illusion begins to form before my eyes. It is a mandala, one of the named realms of the owner of void. The form of the mandala that I've seen every day on the reverse side of cedarwood painting. But this isn't the mandala depicting the life of the golden monster. This is a mandala depicting the life of Xiao Huiol. A mandala is completed through emptiness, Kong, just as the life of a being is concluded through death. A mandala can also be described as an art meant to teach that there is nothing at the end of that life. The one who draws a mandala ultimately scatters their mandala at the end, realizing impermanence. However, this happens only when the mandala is completed and then scattered to gain enlightenment on emptiness. In other words, Completing a mandala means first drawing the most splendid mandala one can create. Puck. Once again, my fist strikes Seo Huiol's solar plexus. The sight of Seo Huiol's face contorting into a kaleidoscope of expressions unlike anything seen before is quite an amusing spectacle. But at the same time, my eyes see another scene. Within the mandala named Seo Huiol, sections bearing the name Seo Eunhyun are being added. No, it isn't just Seo Eunhyun. Everything Seo Eunhyun experienced throughout his life. The countless lives of the Heart Tribe perceived in Cedarwood Grove. Not just the Heart Tribe, but the Earth Tribe, the Heaven Tribe, and the lives of humans as well. With every single strike, those lives are being added one by one. The 33rd move of Severing Mountain Swordsmanship is named after Mount Sumeru, and starting from there, the moves named after Mount Kunlun, Kunshan, and Cedarwood Mountain, Saosan. Among these moves, Sumeru and Kunlun are, in a sense, techniques that can only be completed with the assistance of Heaven and Earth Tribe methods. In other words, they are not purely martial arts in nature. However, Cedarwood is different. This is the essence of my martial arts. No, to be precise, the quintessence of my life's martial path. The principle of Cedarwood is as follows. Based on the memories of endlessly observing the mandala in Cedarwood painting, I meticulously draw my life. And through the canvas of myriad forms and connections that records my life, I meld everyone within the canvas into my life's mandala. At a glance, it might seem as if I'm receiving assistance from Heaven Tribe methods, but this process is not all that important. It can even be substituted with mere recollections of the past. The more important part comes next. Manifestation. In the 15th cycle, just as I had dragged projections of the past through Yun's play and struck Seo Huiol with all the entering heavens of those at entering heavens and above that I had encountered so far, I dissolved my all-heavens sword to its utmost limit into the void, manifesting within my body all the entering heavens I have encountered in my life. In short, this can be described as me manifesting Yun's play with my willpower alone. In other words, countless entering heavens reside within my body at this very moment. Being. Gradually, my fist begins to move faster. Do-do-do-do-do. Sparks begin to fly from my body. The pure white flames, surpassing simple heaven and earth spiritual energy or the aftermath of techniques, are the purification of my willpower. Seo Huiol, continuously pummeled without respite, is savoring pain for the first time in a truly long while. Just like with the Subheart Sword, this move of Cedarwood engraves me into the opponent's heart essence. And going beyond that, it engraves all the manifestations I've encountered within my life. This isn't merely reflecting myself into the opponent's heart essence like the Subheart Sword does. This is truly, albeit temporarily, bestowing those manifestations upon them. In other words, if Seo Huiol understands martial arts even slightly, he can now fight me on equal footing. Because what I'm doing now is bestowing upon him hundreds, thousands of extremes of martial arts. Cedarwood is ultimately to recall the lives of others and all the martial arts in my life, unfolding Yun's play limited to martial arts solely through my willpower. And through such a Yun's play, to embody into reality the manifestations I have seen or the hearts with the potential to reach manifestation. By doing so, after bestowing even a portion of the embodied extremes of martial arts upon the opponent, fighting them honorably on equal footing. This is the ultimate martial technique I have refined to face people like Seo Huiol, whose heart has been shattered. Cedarwood, as a formless ultimate technique, is not particularly restricted by movements or forms. This is the same reason I'm not wielding a sword. I am not confronting an enemy. I am merely wielding my heart towards Seo Huiol, and thus, something like a sword is unnecessary. Seo Huiol tries to counterattack me, but covered in pure white flames, I burn as I unleash an unending barrage of attacks towards him. Amidst the pure white flames, countless figures of others overlap. The entering heavens of Gu Bek, the entering heavens of Yuhua, of Baekyeom, of Kim Young-hoon, of Hong Fan, of the Mad Lord, of Kim Yun, of Ryo Hua, of Jiang Chong, of Jangik. The silhouettes of all the Heart Tribe. They reside in every single one of my punches, driving Seo Huiol back. The cultivation of the Heaven and Earth tribes emphasizes breadth. They gradually expand and stretch themselves outward, becoming an ocean. In contrast, the cultivation of the Heart tribe seeks depth. They become wells, endlessly digging downward until they reach the extreme. That's why the power of the Heaven and Earth tribes approach omnipotence as they grow. However, conversely, the power of the Heart tribe becomes capable of only one thing as they grow. Of course, they can still use that one thing to display a variety of techniques, like Jangik. But the essence of the Heart tribe is depth. However, what happens if the Heart tribe gathers together? When the ocean meets the well will inevitably lose. The difference in sheer mass is overwhelmingly one-sided. But what if the wells gather together? If the wells cluster and mix in one place, and they expand their breadth purely as wells, what then? Well, starting with Jiang Chong, Ryo Hua, Zhang Ik, Yu Hua, and others, the entering heavens of Kim Yun, Kim Young-hoon, Hong Fan, and the Mad Lord all mix together. Their powers overlap within me, approaching an omnipotent power not at all inferior to that of the heaven and earth tribes. This omnipotence is even stronger than the immortal cultivation and immortal arts of the heaven and earth tribes. Because when wells gather in one place enough to fill the entire earth, it naturally becomes a deep sea, Sunha. Countless manifestations overlap, and Seo Huiol's tainted soul filling the heavens is suffering unprecedented damage. The entirety of tainted soul filling the heavens is shaken by the auspicious exchange of emotional expression, is unable to dodge because of the surpassing radiant saber, cannot escape as the heart is bound by the heart of love, and is being maddeningly shaken by collapsing immortals annihilating heavens. Seo Huiol is gradually crumbling. Of course, there is still the possibility that he can fight against me. Cedarwood, after all, is about bestowing the ultimate will I have realized onto my opponent. However, regardless of whether he understands martial arts or not, he cannot accept my manifestations, because these are not simple manifestations, they are hearts. If it's someone who has accepted and understood the hearts of others, it might be a different story. But for an existence that has closed their eyes and ears, turned themselves into a configuration, deliberately closed their eyes from pain, and escaped from it for thousands of years, they will never be able to accept these hearts. Quang. A pure white fist strikes Seo Huiol's face once again. At the same time, as I imbue my manifestation into the mandala of Seo Huiol, enriching it further, I experience the sensation of seeing myself reflected in Seo Huiol's mandala for a brief moment. In that moment, I understand. Mandala Manchablo. Zhang Ik calls it the second step before the throne, while Kim Young-hoon and I share the name Void Shattering for this realm. Today, I have finally reached the pinnacle of Void Shattering. Warurik. The more I use the ultimate technique of cedarwood, the more my body seems to transform into white flames. Seo Huiol is flung far away. The countless Seo Huiols scattered across the world follow suit. Overwhelmed by the power of cedarwood, the overlapping of countless manifestations, they all collapse. I slowly approach Seo Huiol. Seo Huiol staggers and barely manages to lift his upper body. His face is drenched in blood. I see. I should stop trying to understand. It's better to treat you as nothing more than a natural disaster. Seo Huiol spits blood and glares at me. Then, pulling at the muscles of his face, he forces a smile. But haven't you forgotten something? At Seo Huiol's words, I look around. Come to think of it, Han Wen and Yun Wei, and Oh Hyaseo and others have at some point disappeared from sight. You snuck them away, is that it? I couldn't stop you, but you won't be able to stop me either. Did you forget that my canvas of myriad forms and connections has spread across the entire universe? That only means your focus is that much scattered and there are that many gaps. Escaping through one of those gaps isn't that difficult. Seo Huiol smiles as he speaks. If you had combined all of your powers of the heaven and earth tribes, and even drawn upon the power of cedarwood painting, I definitely wouldn't have been able to escape. But you are foolish, and this is the result. I merely used one of my countless selves as bait to tie down your feet. Indeed, as you said, I am foolish. Seo Huiol is right. Right now, I cannot immediately chase after Han Wen, Yun Wei, Oh Hyaseo, and the others who have escaped. Furthermore, the canvas of myriad forms and connections is merely a projection of my history, not my consciousness domain, so it doesn't have any sensing functionality. Of course, it might gain such a feature if it develops further, but for now, it's impossible. Thus, even though Seo Huiol is in front of me, it's no different from him being able to escape at any time. I've lived my entire life foolishly. I am not an imbecile. I am a fool, a dullard with no wit, a clueless stupid retard who only cares about eating. That is the Seo Un-hyun before your eyes. But, even so, I've survived. Bearing the weight of life, I've stubbornly climbed my way here. And because I climbed here as a dullard, I possess strengths that others do not. Woo-woo. The world begins to distort. It seems it's finally complete. Seo Huiol's pupils tremble. He must know what this distortion signifies. Among the me's temporarily split as heaven, earth, and heart, the part of the earth, the me of the earth pathway has successfully completed the entering nirvana advancement. I knew I would fail from the beginning, because I am foolish, slow-witted, and steeped in failure. So, I have no choice but to always prepare for failure. Kugugugugu. I, borrowing the power of the end, twist the predetermined fate. The me's of the heaven and earth tribes in cedarwood painting overlap, and their voices engulf the entire sun and moon heavenly domain. The universe begins to distort. I've failed countless times. So, it's only natural that preparing and bracing for failure has become second nature, isn't it? At the same time, through the phenomena extinguishing mantra and the attraction force of yin and yang in Co Huiol's grasp, the endlessly contracting sun and moon heavenly domain begins to rapidly contract. The universe begins to heat up. This is the fight of a fool. In the next moment, Co Huiol and I lock eyes, then quickly begin moving towards our respective goals. Woo-woo. I, attempting to twist fate through history revision, and Co Huiol, trying to move the world to reach the Akashic records, the powers we individually possess. The phenomena extinguishing mantra and the attraction force of yin and yang begin to collide with ferocity. Chapter 531, Filling the Heavens, Montan. 5. Chapter 531, Filling the Heavens, Montan. 5. Seo is flying towards a certain place under Co Huiol's arrangement. Co Huiol has completely drawn Co Eunhyun's attention, buying time for her to escape. At the same time, through the final arrangement prepared for her, Seo, Han Won, and Yunwei are being transferred to a faraway place. That place, Seo's spirit body. The eyes of that spirit body shine. The place she is heading to is familiar, the beginning of Co Eunhyun's 999th cycle. It is the main body of Hyen Uem, Shin. That was crushed by toying with Bloodine. It is the last remaining place among the countless constellations. Flying quickly towards the star named Lofty Dragon Star, Zhengxing, Seo's eyes gleam. I can feel it. Over there, my reserve body for resurrection is waiting. It is the place where her second body, cultivated from her extracted blood, resides. Womb. Lofty Dragon Star gradually grows closer. Seeing the royal palace Co Huiol built on Lofty Dragon Star, Seo's face brightens. It is a palace Co Huiol built specifically for her. From deep within it, a familiar energy is felt. Huh. Seo stares blankly at someone walking out from inside the palace. One of the contingency plans Co Eunhyun prepared in case he failed to capture Co Huiol and Seo, and to rescue Yunwei and Han Won. It is Co Hai, who has taken over Seo's original body and is walking out holding the severed head of the reserved body Seo had been awaiting. Co Hai smiles up at her, in a manner very similar to Seo. Hello, main body. Do you remember me? I want to become me. Crunch. Crushing the head of the reserved body she is holding, Co Hai smiles brightly. Of course, it'd be difficult. But it's okay. Over thousands of years, I searched the entire universe, combing through every corner to find where your reserved body was hidden. I thought it would be impossible, but look, didn't do it. Co Hai spreads her arms wide with a wicked smile. So, I will take on the challenge too. To become the real one. No matter how impossible it seems, I will defeat you. Seo looks at Co Hai and sneers. You don't know your place? Co Hai looks up at Seo and smiles faintly. I will kill you and take over you who's the main body. And with your authority, I will revive the perished. With a determined expression, Co Hai stands before Seo. Because I was loved by him. Because I gained independence from his love for me. Before, I couldn't properly convey my heart to because I was being controlled by you. But this time, I will eliminate you both and properly convey my heart to. In the next moment, Co Hai lunges at Seo. Chwerarek. A red blood robe wraps around her. A black mask covers Co Hai's face, and all sorts of bizarre things pour out from her storage scroll. The first to emerge are 4 pagoda Dharma treasures. The Dharma treasure pagodas position themselves in the 4 directions of Co Hai, forming a barrier. Next, 49 scrolls appear. Chwerarek. The 49 scrolls unfurl in formation behind Co Hai. Inside the scrolls, countless demon souls of demon beasts are refined, and as the demon souls escape from the scrolls, they begin to merge into one. Squirm, squirm. Before long, a monster formed from the combined demon souls of countless demon beasts emerges in front of Co Hai. The monster, emanating an aura at the integration stage, looks down at Seo and lets out a roar. That is not the end. From the palace Co Huiol built for Seo, countless blood corpses made from the carcasses of the sea dragon race begin to crawl out. These are not ordinary blood corpses. Circuits glowing with an ominous light are shining on their bodies. From Co Hai's shadow, a cloud of blood begins to billow out and transforms into a massive ghost king wielding a scythe. From the center of all these ghostly creatures, Co Hai's crimson eyes flash. Chwerarek. A blood-red leaf fan appears in her hand. Summon the stellar winds. Wind path blood fan. Fugtu, Shirba. Kugagagugu. A storm of blood begins to whirl around Lofty Dragon Star. Seo glares at Co Hai and sneers coldly. The Ghost King and demon souls come from Black Ghost Valley. The blood corpses were refined using Kim Yun's technique after hunting the sea dragon race on Lofty Dragon Star, and that leaf fan along with the method to wield it. It seems to be a method that blatantly borrows Seo Eunhyun's power. Oh Hai Seo laughs mockingly at Seo Hai. You've willingly made yourself Seo Eunhyun's slave. Ahaha. Aren't you afraid of what that monster wearing a human mask will demand from you in return? A monster wearing a human mask, you say? At those words, Seo Hai's crimson eyes flare as she speaks. Isn't that actually referring to you, main body? With those words, the two collide. The monster formed from countless demon souls charges at Oh Hai Seo. The Ghost King, formed by condensing the blood cloud, drains the dragon vein on Lofty Dragon Star while swinging its scythe behind Oh Hai Seo. Each of the blood corpses, all at least at the grand perfection 4-axis stage, rush toward Oh Hai Seo in unison. And Oh Hai Seo, wearing a chilling smile, summons the forms of countless immortal beasts. Kugugugugugu. The light of the immortal beast glass peacock engulfs the demon souls. The demon souls writhe in agony, losing their reason and beginning to scatter. The form of the immortal beast Een Ghost Black Turtle appears. The Ghost King, upon seeing the Een Ghost Black Turtle, seems entranced and stares blankly at it before being devoured by the Een Ghost Black Turtle's form. The form of the immortal beast mountain-destroying demon ape descends from the sky and smashes into the earth of Lofty Dragon Star. Huang. The entire dragon vein of Lofty Dragon Star trembles and the blood core collapses. Then, the wing beats of the immortal beast Azure Rock sweeps away the blood wind of the wind path blood fan. I command, in the name of the immortal beast Lofty Dragon. Kugugugugu. Behind Oh Hai Seo, the colossal form of a dragon appears. Lofty Dragon Star begins to resonate. Foul thing. How dare you, a mere split soul, covet the main body. The branch shall obediently be reabsorbed by the mainstream. Kururum. Seo Hai begins to resist. Countless blood path methods, ghost path methods, and curse methods are unleashed as she pours all her strength into resisting Oh Hai Seo. But gradually, her soul begins to waver. As a split soul of Oh Hai Seo, Seo Hai struggles to resist her. And finally, Chweraruk. Oh Hai Seo's body, at last, reclaims her former physical body. Within Oh Hai Seo's heart essence. In that place that resembles a barren wasteland, Seo Hai and Oh Hai Seo stand facing each other. Ahaha, is this the end? Oh Hai Seo sneers at Seo Hai, reaching out her arm towards her. Gradually, Seo Hai begins to transform into particles of light and is absorbed by Oh Hai Seo. However, Seo Hai instead smiles faintly, as if this was her intention from the start. Do you know, main body? You're such a pitiful person. Ahaha, what? I was born loved by and born from you. But what about you? You've never received anything like that, not even once. Isn't that right? You've been abandoned since birth, and you'll probably never receive love in the future either. But I did, even if it was just once. So, even if I die today, I can die with a smile. Oh Hai Seo cannot understand Seo Hai. All she knows is her primal survival instinct. Any emotion beyond that is so faint that she cannot empathize. However, at Seo Hai's words, Oh Hai Seo somehow feels unpleasant. She dislikes what Seo Hai is saying. It's irritating. Therefore, Oh Hai Seo absorbs Seo Hai even faster. As Seo Hai is absorbed into Oh Hai Seo, she smiles meaningfully. You must have chosen this as well, right? Ho ho, I'll follow you. Someday we will meet again. It's a cryptic statement. But in any case, the victor is Oh Hai Seo, and the loser is Seo Hai. After completely subduing Seo Hai in the heart essence world, she opens her eyes in his main body. Ahaha, finally. I've finally returned to my original body. Now all that's left is, it's then. Huh. Oh Hai Seo feels chills running across her entire body. This is. Oh Hai Seo is one who draws upon authority by retracing history. Because of this, she can understand better than anyone present just what is happening in this universe right now. Feeling chills run over her body, Oh Hai Seo looks up towards the sky in the direction of cedarwood painting. Seo Eunhyun, that monstrous bastard. Just what in the world are you doing? Seo Eunhyun's history revision is beginning to twist fate. I've been thinking, since long ago until now, why must mortals suffer under fate? In cases like Yun Wei and Han Wan, why on earth did they have to endure such pain? Therefore, I want to save them from fate. Fears me, lies often, is vicious, never says anything right, is exhausting because of her paranoia, and yet isn't even particularly helpful in battle is who Yun Wei is. But, despite all that, she is our comrade. Therefore, for my dear Yun Wei, and for the living beings who can't ascend to the middle realms and will die because of the end, I devised a plan. When the end approaches, I will borrow the power of the end with the phenomena extinguishing mantra to twist the power of fate with the power of history. I aim to twist the calamity of fate placed upon Yun Wei and Han Wan, save the two of them, and prepare for the day I will face Great Mountain and crush the Great Mountain calamity. Yeo Wei laughed mockingly. She said the plan is nearly impossible, and someone like me meddling with history is essentially impossible. And so, I decided to use the canvas of myriad forms and connections. Crystal glass to treading sea. 9 categories form. The 9th form. Filling the heavens governing view. When I showed Yeo Wei filling the heavens governing view and explained its effects, she obediently hung herself upside down. Filling the heavens governing view is a form created by melting tainted soul filling the heavens together with the extinguishing divine, tribulating heavens technique. Guakayam said this. To escape the fate of the universe's destruction, one must find a sacrifice equivalent to the universe itself to ward off the misfortune. Of course, they also said it would be difficult to find a sacrifice matching the universe. However, for those I wish to save, there exists a sacrifice that fits perfectly. Let's go, Kim Yun. Kim Yun nods and activates the wonderfully mysterious fortress. Click, 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 click. Along with that, Yun's play activates. On top of Yun's play, I manifest the heart of love using cedarwood. And then, the remnant shadow of the sun and moon heavenly domain, which had been destroyed in a previous life by the Great Mountain Supreme Deity, rises and is manifested through Yun's play. The fate of Han Wan and Yun Wei, who had died miserably in the past life, is manifested through Yun's play. The fate of Su In and Hong Yun, who had died like discarded trash, is once again manifested. Additionally, the fates of everyone else I sought to save begin to manifest again today. Filling the heavens governing view is a form that turns the entire world into a failure like myself and delivers enlightenment. At the same time, it gathers countless past fates into one, and it manifests misfortune, forcing one to endure the same pain from that time, and then twists the fate of reality. That is what filling the heavens governing view is. Do-do-do-do-do. The yin and yun within Co Huil's grasp. The phenomena extinguishing mantra that I possess. The culmination of these two attraction forces resonates, accelerating the end of the sun and moon heavenly domain. Through filling the heavens governing view, I begin to gather the canvas of myriad forms and connections that is spread across the entire world. Amid the hazy mist of the canvas of myriad forms and connections, painful memories from the past resurface. At the same time, those pains are manifested by Yun's play, forming an artificial misfortune. Through the misfortune thus created, I begin to perform the ritual of the extinguishing divine, tribulating heavens technique. The hazy mist compresses into dark clouds and begins to cover the sky. The first to be shrouded are Han Wan and Yun Wei. Filling the heavens governing view and Yun's play manifest the two people who had died painfully in the previous cycle. Simultaneously, I begin to turn the wheel. I rewrite. The power of the phenomena extinguishing mantra, the power borrowed through the Sumeru sword dance, and the power of the Earth tribe pathways entering Nirvana stage are combined. I interfere with history, and, through the wheel, I rewrite. O attraction force of Great Mountain, thy attraction force is thus fulfilled. Kurururum. By my proclamation, the fate in which Han Wan and Yun Wei die miserably is now considered already fulfilled. But at the same time, Han Wan and Yun Wei do not die. Thus, Great Mountain has no reason to rampage. In front of my eyes, I see a constellation in a distant place. That constellation is bound by an ominous attraction force, and that attraction force is also connected to Han Wan. Begone, O misfortune of Han Wan. At my resounding cry, the stars of the constellation connected to Han Wan from the distant world begin to explode all at once. Quam. The prophecy of the Great Mountain Supreme Deity has been fulfilled, yet not fulfilled. Unable to withstand that contradiction, their prophecy explodes as is. At the same time, I feel a chilling, ominous gaze sweeping over me. It must be Guakam's gaze. However, I withstand their gaze firmly and continue my consciousness. Next are Su In and Hong Yan. They are the children sacrificed by me. Just then, I sense from Co Huil, who is confronting the heart tribe me, beginning to properly unleash his strength. Desperately, he operates tainted soul filling the heavens for his goal. Chiak, 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 chiak. Every Co Huil in the universe begins to laugh simultaneously and starts to consume themselves. Why yang? At the same time, the brainwashing waves of the consumed Co Huils, empowered by the attraction force of the end, begin heading towards the head realm. Although, unlike Co Eunhyun's 998th cycle, he was unable to brainwash everything in the sun and moon heavenly domain, including the blood in. Co Huil trusts in the attraction force of vast cold and pours everything he has into the head realm. Martial artist Co Eunhyun remains before him, glaring at Co Huil who is overseeing his plan. As the end draws near, The attraction force of vast cold surrounding Co Huil grows so powerful it feels like an entirely different dimension, to the point martial artist Seo Eun-hyun can no longer interfere. However, Seo Eun-hyun does not appear tense, as if he still has a move left. He simply sits there, observing Seo Huil's actions. Seo Huil appears like a conductor. It's as if he rules over all the stars of the universe, pouring his everything solely into the head realm. And finally, all of Seo Huil's brainwashing waves eventually reach the head realm. Wang. Flash. Ascension path. Following Seo Huil's command, the brainwashing waves tear apart the ascension gate and pour directly into the head realm. Seo Eun-hyun's gaze also focuses on the head realm from the outside. The form of the head realm resembles a decaying, tattered skull of someone long dead. Chunks of flesh are stuck haphazardly on the skull, making it difficult to see inside, and it seems as though a pair of overturned eyeballs are staring inward. The neural networks of the two eyeballs grotesquely flow down outside the skull. That is the form of the head realm. And the brainwashing waves driven into the ascension gate become embedded into the Baihui point of the head realm. Seo Eun-hyun understands why Seo Huil had taken control of the powerful cities or regions within the head realm that uses immortal treasures. Ascension gate. Baihui point. Black castle. The brainwashing waves, drawn by the attraction force of Yang Sujin's steel at the ascension gate, amplify significantly due to that attraction force and descend beneath ascension path, embedding themselves into the Black Castle. Once again, the brainwashing waves amplify. Black Castle, the center of the upper dantian, the pituitary gland. Serving Command Palace. Simultaneously, under Seo Huil's will, the Serving Command Palace reveals itself in the head realm. Serving Command Palace begins operating at maximum output, quickly moving from the northern end of the head realm. Seo Huil's brainwashing waves are embedded in the Serving Command Seal at the center of Serving Command Palace. Once again, Seo Huil's brainwashing waves amplify, and the Serving Command Palace, carrying Seo Huil's brainwashing waves, begins moving across the head realm. It seems to be rotating around the head realm once. Serving Command Palace, the circulation within the upper dantian. Then, the Sea Dragon Palace would be the forehead. Isn't that right? A spell that enters through the Baihui point, circles through the upper dantian, and exits through the forehead. A method that clears the mind. A spell Seo Huil has planned since a long time ago to awaken the head realm. It is a spell Seo Eun-hyun had seen across the head realm and also experienced firsthand under Seo Huil. This simple yet powerful mind-clearing spell begins activating within the head realm. Seo Huil remains silent. He seems to be manipulating the brainwashing waves with a once-in-a-lifetime focus. And the heart tribe Seo Eun-hyun begins to disappear from Seo Huil's sight. He is returning to his main body. After all, with filling the heavens governing view activated and history revision already underway, there is nothing more he can achieve through martial arts. He beat up Seo Huil as much as he desired, and he has already completed, planting, within him everything that is needed. There is no longer any need for him to remain here. Martial artist Seo Eun-hyun looks back at Seo Huil and smiles. I will return soon. Let us meet again, Seo ran. Chapter 532, Filling the Heavens, Montan. 6. Oh Seo understands that the history of the entire world is being twisted and that Seo Eun-hyun has severed something, entangled with Han Won and Yun Wei. And in that moment, she feels an overwhelming killing intent engulf her. Shiver. This is the place she looks at in shock. There, Han Won is standing. Kuduk, kadududuk. Han Won clenches and unclenches his fist, as if confirming something. Seeing this, Oh Seo realizes that her instincts are sounding a fierce alarm. However, she doesn't show it outwardly and raises several immortal beast forms around her. At the Grand Perfection integration stage, with her sights already set on the star-shattering stage, she smirks. Grand Cultivator Han, what are you doing? Grand Cultivator is a hostage, so you should quietly. In the next moment, Quadududuk. Han Won's fist is suddenly right in front of her, striking her head directly. Quong. Oh Seo screams in agony, as if her integrated Dao domain is being torn apart, and she is sent flying several zhang away. With an expression close to panic, she stares at Han Won. I was defending myself using the power of the Een Ghost Black Turtle, and yet, the form of an immortal beast. The form of the immortal beast Een Ghost Black Turtle that is specialized in defense at that, was shattered in one strike, and I was sent flying. Han Won cracks his knuckles as he speaks. I thought you were just some mongrel bitch, but this is unexpected. I intended to kill you with that blow, yet you endured it. Oh Seo, feeling a strong instinctive warning, opens her mouth. You've regained your cultivation? Would it just be that? Han Won sneers. Kugagugagu. Forgotten memories. Twisted spiritual veins. The pride of the Penglai Palace Lord. I've reclaimed them all. However, Despite having regained everything, he does not look happy. Instead, Han One grits his teeth and sheds tears of blood. It's so miserable that I can't even speak. Oh Hyeseo's eyeballs dart around. If I lose him, Seo Hui's plan will fall apart. Because the soul inside him needs to create attraction force. If I lose him, and Seo Hui fails, then Seo Eunhyun will come to devour me again, right? No. I can't endure being trapped in something as horrifying as Seo Eunhyun's stomach again. Oh Hyeseo grinds her teeth and raises several immortal beast forms around her. Enough with the bothersome words and just obediently become a captive. Horror. The wing beats of the white-winged heavenly Pegasus engulf all phenomena in flames. The royal palace Seo Hui built on the lofty dragon star begins to burn, and flames ignite on Han One's body as well. This is the fire of an immortal beast. Now then let's. At that moment, Han One takes a stance. At the same time, the prison of Yin Yang and 5 elements envelopes Oh Hyeseo. Good devil energy surges in both of Han One's hands. Being. And no. Oh Hyeseo feels an intense threat of death and realizes she must escape the prison of Yin Yang and 5 elements as quickly as possible. Wu Wong. A Taiji symbol begins to spin around Oh Hyeseo. However, despite the Taiji's rotation, the prison of Yin Yang and 5 elements created by Han One does not break. Not just the 5 elements, but even Yin and Yang itself. She immediately understands the cause of this phenomenon. Resonance. Han One's method is resonating with the entire universe? Why? This is. Seo Eunhyun's phenomena extinguishing mantra is currently being unfolded on a universal scale. That mantra is resonating with Han One's Great Mountain Splitting Emperor technique, elevating Han One's power to his peak state. Great Mountain, Kaosan. Kugagagugagu. Oh Hyeseo's body begins to assimilate with the Yin Yang and 5 elements. With a sensation of her mind going blank, she pushes the power of the immortal beasts to their utmost with all her strength. Splitting Emperor, Lady. Countless forms of immortal beasts rise to protect her. However, with a sinking feeling in her chest, she realizes the truth about Han One's attack. This attack is at the quasi-star shattering stage. She cannot block it. In the next moment, every immortal beast form surrounding her is shredded apart. Oh Hyeseo's body is torn into 7 pieces, and her integrated Dao domain is violently ripped apart as she is hurled deep into the underground depths of the lofty dragon star, unconscious. Han One, having rendered Oh Hyeseo unconscious, slowly turns around. Splurt. Blood gushes from his mouth. Damn it. The single strike just now cost him all his cultivation and every drop of his true origin vital energy. Han One, too, is now on the verge of death. For someone who still has a significant amount of lifespan left, an observer might call him insane. But Han One doesn't care and steps into the burning palace of the sea dragon race. There lies Yun Wei's body, thrown aside by the aftermath of the battle between Oh Hyeseo and Han One. Is it perhaps because it's the body used as a vessel to contain the attraction force of vast cold? Yun Wei's soul has already been drawn by that attraction force to the golden divine heavenly thunder sect's shrine and placed into the body crafted by Seo Eunhyun. Han One, slowly, approaches Yun Wei and embraces her. Wei ah. What is this, Han One? Yun Wei slowly looks up at Han One and speaks. Have I also gone senile? At those words, Han One gently strokes Yun Wei's black and white hair. Waruru. The royal palace of Seo Hui, engulfed in the flames of an immortal beast, begins to collapse. Burning debris from the building falls above Han One. However, Han One neither uses spells to block it nor heals his body. Instead, he simply endures the collapsing building with his body while focusing all his efforts on extending Yun Wei's fleeting lifespan by even a few more seconds using the immortal art sunshine of the immortal art various omens. The one who went senile was I. You trash bastard. Yun Wei spits out venomous words. You are trash. So vile and rotten that it was impossible to feel satisfied with you. Yun Wei glares at Han One and unleashes a torrent of curses. When I heard I was to enter into a political marriage with you, I felt so nauseated that I even considered suicide. It was an engagement devoid of emotion, made solely for the safety of my golden divine heavenly thunder sect. When I betrayed you, I thought it actually turned out great. The sense of liberation was so overwhelming I felt like I could fly. Rather than marrying an idiot and ugly man like you, I preferred to bring in brighter and more handsome children to have relations with. My descendant, Yun Jin, is one of the offspring from such men. Do you remember when I plucked your eye out last time? Your eye. I boiled it into a tonic and drank it. It wasn't even tasty. Why are you still here? Get lost, you retard. What? If I die here, will you turn my corpse into some kind of pill? I'm going to die here today as well, Wei ah. Han One smiles warmly as he continues to embrace Yun Wei. I detonated my true origin vital energy and crush the subordinate woman of the bastard who captured us. I, too, after tonight, will die from the extinction of my true origin, as if someone who can resurrect. All the life force and soul force I have for resurrection are being spent on the immortal art to extend your lifespan. Once I die, likely not even a leftover will remain. What kind of insane nonsense are you spewing? Why are you doing such a thing? Someone like you can't defy the celestial energy to extend someone else's lifespan. That's something only a sacred master can do. Even if you extend it, do you think my lifespan will increase by even a moment? What is your reason for this? At Yunwei's furious shout, Han Wen gently strokes her hair. A single tear falls from Han Wen's eye. Because, even if it's just a little longer, I want to hold you. Huh. At those words, Yunwei tightly shuts her eyes. Then, with trembling hands, she raises them to cover her face. Slowly, she begins to sob. Han Wen also sheds tears. I'm sorry, Yunwei. The one existence I've loved all this time. Yes. Chionare. In the end, was you. I'm sorry. A short and insincere apology. Yet, with those short and insincere words, Yunwei feels the resentment of the past 45,000 years gently melt away. Kururum. As the royal palace collapses, one of its main beams falls onto Han Wen's waist. Flames spread across Han Wen's body. Yet, Han Wen continues to use protective spells and the lifespan extending immortal art solely on Yunwei. Yunwei slowly rises from her spot. Both are drained of energy, their lifespans nearly depleted, but now it is Han Wen who is lying down. Even as he lies down, he holds on to Yunwei's body, infusing immortal art, energy, and protective barriers into her. Weia, Sururuk. Han Wen's rough hand brushes against Yunwei's cheek. At last, I found you. Weia, my Weia. Han Wen's eyes gradually lose focus. Death is approaching. However, neither of them shows any sign of sadness. Yunwei sheds tears while smiling. Just why did you come all the way here? If it's you, you could have just left me behind and lived. You foolish person. I wanted to see your smiling face. One last time, before I die. So, and, with you, I wanted to go, together, on the same day, same time. Long ago, we even exchanged the vast cold oath, didn't we? I've told you so many times. That was just a forgotten, useless tradition. It was just a joke. But even as Yunwei sheds tears, she does not lose her smile. Because Han Wen said he wanted to see her smile. And that is enough. You're the one who could pray to Seo Eunhyun for help and live. Why aren't you doing that? I've lived long enough. And, Yunwei hugs Han Wen tightly and closes her eyes. There's nothing more that I wish for in my life. She smiles. It is the most peaceful and liberated smile she has ever worn. Werururu. Quong. Finally, the palace completely collapses. Yunwei and Han Wen burn together amidst the ruins. The two whose lifespans have come to an end hold hands as they turn to ashes in the flames. A pair of lovers had their fate toyed with by the will of a true immortal. But through one move by Seo Eunhyun, they finally broke free from fate. There might have been ways for them to live longer, but neither chose such methods. Perhaps, it's because they don't expect a moment more precious and rare than this one to ever come again in their lifetime. The separated lovers, thus reduced to ashes by the flame, become one as they turn into soil. Han Wen and Yunwei, having reached the conclusion they desired most, die overwhelmed with happiness. And, from within the ashes, two clumps of light rise. Kugugugugu. The serving command palace is rotating around the head realm. Having already completed half a rotation around the head realm, the serving command palace is spreading immense brainwashing waves across the entire world. And all of a sudden, pat. Around those brainwashing waves, a single clump of light rises. At the same time, on a planet within the astral realm, another clump of light appears before Seo Huiol, who is commanding all the brainwashing waves. The souls of Su, In, and Hongyan. It is the legacy of vast cold within Seo Huiol's grasp. With his eyes gleaming, Seo Huiol grips tightly the attraction force that fills all of heaven and earth. The attraction force of the end completely envelopes Seo Huiol. You cannot stop me, Seo Eunhyun. Seo Huiol also witnessed the recent history revision and the liberation of Han Wen and Yunwei through it. But he is not concerned. Such a revision is impossible again. Even history revision has its limits. One is in the head realm. The other is in my hand. Yet you dare interfere with the head realm and believe you can seize both souls. Wawoom. Seo Huiol even more violently squeezes the attraction force from the spirit bodies of the two souls and declares, "This is my victory." Meanwhile, the three aspects of Seo Eunhyun, gathered on cedarwood painting, unite into one. Heaven, earth, heart. Now that one has become entering nirvana, there is a difference in their cultivation realms, making it impossible to use the three great ultimates. But Seo Eunhyun doesn't concern himself with such things. He recalls a scene from the canvas of myriad forms and connections. Wawung. The children called Su In and Hongyan. It is the scene of them dying tragically that day. Chapter 533, Severing Heaven, Dantian. 1. Chapter 533, Severing Heaven, Dantian. 1. Do you both swear to love each other from now on? It's an old vow, yet it still remains vividly in my heart. Because that was the day when my canvas of myriad forms and connections was completed. Yes, from now on, I will be Yun's legs. From now on, I will be Su In's eyes. As they were dying, the two children who had asked me to officiate their union because I had treated them a little kindly are now being toyed with in Xiao Hui's grasp. I begin to bloom a flower of consolidation filled with sincerity for those children. Past a Sasasak, across the sun and moon heavenly domain scattered with the canvas of myriad forms and connections, the white orchid blessing incantation begins to bloom. In the next life as well, may the love between the two of you continue. Yes, thank you. Really, truly. The figures of the two lovers who smiled brightly at me. Thank you for your kindness. Then, from that image, light bursts forth. As the canvas of myriad forms and connections trembles, the pain I and those children felt at that moment surges around Xiao Huiol. At the same time, I rewrite. Flash. The reality of that time, when I had blessed the two, once again manifests in this world. The reality manifested by Yun's play covers the sky, and my wheel turns, twisting history. At the same time, the two souls extracted by Xiao Huiol, one in the head realm and the other in Xiao Huiol's grasp. Their misfortune distorts. Flash. You were not caught by Xiao Huiol. You lived happily together for 100 years, and as you lived as such, you died as such. Wasn't that so? Quagwagwagwang. A massive explosion erupts in the plane of fate. History is being rewritten. At the same time, immense pain washes over me, but I endure. And the expression on Xiao Huiol's face is quite a sight to behold. Xiao, Un, Hyun. Has there ever been a time when my name burst so urgently from Xiao Huiol's mouth? Probably not. I see a single light pink clump of light emerging from the center of the explosion. Wai Yang, one soul from the head realm, due to the rewriting of history, is spinning and soaring away from Xiao Huiol's grasp. The reality that has already been connected by me becomes engraved upon the world. Simultaneously, I realize an overwhelming power is enveloping the universe. The souls of Su In and Hong Yun become one, as if they had been one from the beginning. From somewhere distant, the scent of peach blossoms begins to drift. In an instant, I arrive at a place resembling a peach garden paradise filled with peach blossom trees. And from behind a massive peach blossom tree, I hear someone laughing. Sarek. From behind the peach blossom tree, someone's finger emerges. Immediately after, I feel chills running across my entire body. This is vast cold. In such a situation, the only being likely to appear is the vast cold heavenly Lord. However, I cannot help but tremble, not at the being itself, but at the authority on an entirely different level emanating from them. Someday, let's meet. I hear something like the voices of children in my ears. It is a voice that seems to combine the voices of Su In and Hong Yan. Is it because their souls have been one from the beginning, or is it because I blessed them this time? For some reason, I feel as though the next time I meet them, they will be as a single entity. It's then, I shall answer your goodwill with goodwill. A voice so moving that it stirs my heart, just by hearing it flows rapidly into the depths of my chest. And I perceive an immense power welling up from within my Dantian. This is vast cold heavenly circle. The vast cold heavenly circle I acquired before is resonating madly. The vast cold heavenly circle, imbued with the enlightenment that all is due to the 4 seasons and 4 cycles, that the 4 seasons and 4 cycles are alive, and that through them, the entire world is alive, envelopes me with dazzling rays of light. This is heavenly circle. In front of my eyes, I briefly see a sky filled with peach blossom petals. I feel Kim Yun shaking my shoulder urgently. It seems I momentarily fainted, unable to withstand the blessing of vast cold. I understood the nature of vast cold's blessing. The blessing is simple in its effect. It's merely, I shall answer your goodwill with goodwill. The goodwill I have shown this world is returned to me in the form of an equivalent rank. Kurung, Kururung. Heavenly tribulation begins to gather around me. Not the earth tribe pathway, but the cultivation of the heaven tribe pathway begins resonating with the power of the vast cold heavenly circle. At the same time, I feel the red giant star of the heaven tribe pathway being compressed. In an instant, the star transforms into a white dwarf, and I can feel it continuing to rise in rank. To have goodwill returned as equivalent in rank. I smile faintly. Truly, the strongest heavenly lord. My plan begins to enter its latter half. Xiao Huiol's brainwashing wave, no longer supported by the attraction force of vast cold, visibly weakens and begins to falter. At this level, awakening the head realm seems utterly impossible, but I can't afford to let my guard down. Wait for me. After completing the final ritual, I will save you. The canvas of myriad forms and connections illuminates the universe. The true reason for scattering the canvas of myriad forms and connections across the entire universe is not merely to erode Xiao Huiol, but this. To this universe. To all the living beings of the universe. To all the pitiful souls who cannot even ascend to the middle realms. To give them a chance. Wu Wong. The universe rising within the canvas of myriad forms and connections begins to compress gradually. Phenomena extinguishing mantra. The end of the universe I had once witnessed now begins to unfold before my eyes. The attraction force of vast cold has disappeared, but the sun and moon heavenly domain already stands on the verge of cosmic contraction, saturated with vast cold's attraction force. If left alone, the sun and moon heavenly domain will be completely annihilated. The countless living beings who have not ascended to the middle realms will face the ends of their lives here and now. Yun's play manifests the space-time of that moment. The manifested space-time is visible only to me, because if ordinary people were to witness this, they would have no choice but to go mad. The sight of the universe collapsing into a single point and perishing. I use that sight entirely as the misfortune for the extinguishing divine, tribulating heavens technique, spinning the wheel furiously. Though the scene is invisible to everyone but me, perhaps the aura can still be felt. The sacred masters and esteemed ones, led by Sacred Master Baek Woon, are unleashing an unprecedentedly fierce attack on cedarwood painting. Kurururum. Heaven and earth tremble, and the entire bright cold realm moves, striking cedarwood painting. It's not just the bright cold realm, ancient force realm, true devil realm, and purple gold realm. The four middle realms themselves are moving, violently shaking cedarwood painting as if driven mad. Even if it's an artificial middle realm, if the real middle realms themselves continue to launch attacks, it won't take long before it shatters. Moreover, I notice a presence infiltrating cedarwood painting and brightly bare my white teeth. It's been a while, master. Good. It's Jangik. Jangik smiles with eyes blazing like ghost fire. The preparations are complete. Come at me. Apologies, but right now. Without another word, Jangik immediately launches an attack. Quong. Collapsing immortals annihilating heavens strikes directly at my head. But I simply smile and look at Jangik. Jangik wears an overwhelmed expression. You blocked that with your teeth? This crazy bastard. That's right. Now, even Jangik's greatest decisive technique, collapsing immortals annihilating heavens, is something I can casually block by biting down with my teeth. Well, fine. Jangik's gaze sharpens as he floats 4 padeos into the void. Since petty techniques don't seem like they'd work, I'll just show you directly. Keying. The 4 padeos merge into one. In an instant. Pat it. I understand why Jangik hadn't shown this decisive technique until now. The end. It was a technique meant to face the end itself. Everything in front of me turns green. Yes, Jangik intended to test his fighting spirit against the end of the sun and moon heavenly domain. I honor his madness-filled fighting will and face him with the ultimate decisive move I have been perfecting all this time. In the next moment, a green flash engulfs the entirety of cedarwood painting. The sacred masters grit their teeth and continue hammering cedarwood painting with the middle realms as if driven mad. Jangik has gone in. Since that one has decided to risk his life, an opening will appear. Baek Woon shouts frantically with a pale white face as she continues to strike cedarwood painting. But suddenly, flash, a green light seems to briefly fill cedarwood painting, and then silence falls within. Seeing this, Baek Woon's face lights up. Did Jangik succeed? Is it over? Immediately after, the faces of Baek Woon and the sacred masters distort once again. Wu Wong. It's because from within cedarwood painting, Seo Eun-hyun emerges with a pale and uneasy complexion. Baek Woon grits her teeth and begins drawing upon the power of the bright cold realm. Fine, you monstrous bastard. Since it has come to this, we will stake our lives as well. Seo Eun-hyun spreads his arms wide with a mocking smile. It's already too late. At that moment, pat it. Brilliantly resplendent rays of light erupt from around Seo Eun-hyun's body. Jangik's single strike was truly terrifying. However, he could not surpass me. It wasn't purely because of my martial arts realm. But, this time, I don't feel ashamed to have lost purely in martial arts. Because upon these shoulders rests the entire sun and moon heavenly domain. Go, go. Kuga-guga-gugu. The wheel spins faster than ever before. Drawing upon all the authority of cedarwood painting, I shout. I rewrite. At the very moment when the scene of the universe contracting into a single point and perishing appears here, in the sun and moon heavenly domain. With all my strength, I collide with the fate of the end. O fate of the end, thy coming is already fulfilled. Ding. From where could it be? The sound of a Brahma bell rings out. At the same time, an overwhelming light explodes across the entire sun and moon heavenly domain, which had been accelerating towards the end under my phenomena extinguishing mantra. The entire world seems to shake violently. Instinctively, I realize that I have twisted the very providence of the universe itself. Ha ha ha. Co Huiol stares at the result of my efforts with a dumbfounded expression. My comrades read the celestial energy and wear bright expressions. The sacred masters, in shock, send me transmissions like crazy. At last, it has been achieved. The end of the sun and moon heavenly domain has been deferred. The attraction force that had been contracting the universe reverses as providence has overturned, and expansion begins anew. Not a single living being in the sun and moon heavenly domain has been sacrificed to the end. We have succeeded in saving them all. Now, only one task remains. I look at Co Huiol, who is clutching the head realm and squeezing out every last bit of his strength, and begin the final phase of my plan. I will save you too. Co Huiol. Wu Wong. With that, Co Huiol's image appears within my canvas of myriad forms and connections. It's the Co Huiol who, in the past life, charged into the head realm, achieved his goal, and turned into a blue earthworm. Chapter 534, Severing Heaven, Dantin. 2. Don't make me laugh. Co Huiol mutters with an unusually angry expression, staring at where I stand. Who do you think you are, to do such a thing to me? Whying. Co Huiol's tainted soul filling the heavens begins to operate even faster and more vigorously. Finally, Serving Command Palace completes a full orbit around the head realm. Woo woo. Once again, Co Huiol's brainwashing wave amplifies. However, it hardly constitutes a speck compared to what I witnessed in my past life. The amplified brainwashing wave heads straight to the southern end of the head realm, towards the Sea Dragon Palace. Sea Dragon Palace. Sea Dragon Palace. The forehead. Co Huiol's entire tainted soul filling the heavens begins rushing urgently towards the forehead of the head realm. Even though he knows that it is impossible with this level of brainwashing wave, he forces himself to operate tainted soul filling the heavens. He is feeling it too. It's not just because he's lost his judgment due to my filling the heavens governing views erosion. It's because an intense sense of crisis is driving him to bet everything on an unwinnable gamble. Even though what is inside my canvas of myriad forms and connection can be manifested through Yun's play, others cannot see it. They can only vaguely sense that something is there. Yes, it cannot be seen, but it can be roughly felt. Co Huiol can feel the rewriting of history itself that will lead to the ominous history of his existence being reduced to a worm. Your defeat was inevitable from the start, Co Huiol. So the only thing I can do for him is, Peowat, I rewrite this grim future, to sever it with my own hands. The image of Co Huiol that appears on the canvas of myriad forms and connections shines brightly as it begins manifesting through Yun's play. Simultaneously, the manifested space-time condenses, and once again, I manifest the extinguishing divine, tribulating heavens technique based upon that misfortune. Why Yang? I begin to turn the wheel. This is the last time. So far, I have invoked rewriting a total of 3 times. Han 1 and Yun Wei, Su In and Hong Yun, and the end of the sun and moon heavenly domain. Why was it in this specific order? If urgency was the priority, shouldn't the end of the sun and moon heavenly domain have been prevented first? The reason is that there is a limit to the history I can rewrite with my own hands. Twisting the fate of Han 1 and Yun Wei to grant those two even a slightly better conclusion was the maximum extent of rewriting I could achieve. However, history is fundamentally an explosion. It is also life and the foundation that forms what we know as Qi. That's why, once the first explosion occurred, history had no choice but to shake. I used that tectonic shift of history to trigger a chain explosion to rewrite the fate of vast cold's attraction force, which is on a completely different rank than Han 1 and Yun Wei. Then, through the tectonic shift caused by the rewrite of Su In and Hong Yun, I rewrote the end of the sun and moon heavenly domain. And, through the tectonic shift caused by delaying the end of the sun and moon heavenly domain itself, I now aim to rewrite an even grander history. Wu Wong, the head realm. I stare at the place where the head realm lies. Unlike when my cultivation was lower, looking at the head realm no longer feels painful or overwhelming. Though I still feel an indescribable and ominous sense of dread, it doesn't make me lose consciousness like before. While it's difficult to clearly observe the inner situation, the heavenly being grand elders of the golden divine heavenly thunder sect within the head realm have been reporting the situation to John Myung-hoon and me. Hence I know, to shake the head realm, it must at least match the aftermath of shaking the sun and moon heavenly domain. Still, I honestly feel uneasy. Will this kind of rewrite even work on the head realm? Will it really be enough? When my will becomes able to rewrite history through the change in history, I develop a sense to recognize it. I can roughly tell whether it will succeed or fail. However, even as I directly feel the aftermath of saving the sun and moon heavenly domain, I realize that such a sense isn't forming. Even now, the head realm feels so vast and distant that my strength alone seems difficult to rewrite it. But suddenly, at that moment, pot, kuga-guga-gugu, the formula of the vast cold heavenly circle begins to surge as if alive, rampaging madly. What is this? I am stunned by the power of the vast cold heavenly circle boiling within me as if trying to explode, and I try to suppress the explosive force. But it cannot be suppressed. The power of the vast cold heavenly circle surges terrifyingly. I understand why this is happening. Vast Cold's blessing. It's the blessing I received from Vast Cold's lingering will when I saved In and Yan. And in accordance with that blessing, the goodwill I showed to the sun and moon heavenly domain is now being returned to me. Wait. But I can't help but feel horrified. This is too much. My cultivation realm begins to rise uncontrollably. The grand perfection sacred vessel stage cultivation of the heaven tribe begins to pierce through the ceiling. At this rate, either cedarwood painting will suffer damage, or my body will just explode. Now, there is only one way to prevent that from happening. I must perform the entering nirvana advancement ritual, right now. Of course, advancing to the entering nirvana stage usually takes some time. However, seeing my realm surge like this, I realize I can ignore the usual procedures and time constraints to advance directly to entering nirvana. Although advancing means I will become separated from cedarwood painting, it doesn't matter. The power of a sacred master was only necessary for the situation moments ago when I had to save the entire universe. I originally needed the power of cedarwood painting to resonate my canvas of myriad forms and connections with the entirety of the sun and moon heavenly domain. Currently, when I only need to focus the canvas of myriad forms and connections on the head realm, the power of cedarwood painting is no longer essential. Instead, what I need now might be an even higher realm. Wu-Wong. As I rise to the grand perfection sacred vessel stage, I realize that the 8 paths have been fully completed. And, above the 8 paths, I add one more. The average success rate for sacred vessel sacred masters advancing to the entering nirvana stage is 40%. This is because the advancement to the entering nirvana stage is that straightforward. The formula for the entering nirvana stage is royal perfection. By adding royal perfection to the 8 paths completed during the sacred vessel stage to form the 9 palaces, Jagong, one achieves the entering nirvana stage. Chwerarek. I recall the formula of royal perfection. What is royal perfection? It can be interpreted as a virtue a ruler must possess, or perhaps the disposition of a ruler. It determines the ruler's direction. And when royal perfection is added to the 8 paths, the authority that has manipulated fate and life up until now, the cultivator completes their very own immortal art. I half open my eyes. I have already determined the direction I must take. Therefore, all that remains is to complete crystal glass to treading sea. Pat it. As I begin to operate crystal glass to treading sea, an immense sea of glass swords emerges around cedarwood painting from the aftermath. Chua. The blessing of goodwill given by vast cold aligns perfectly with what my crystal glass to treading sea has been pursuing, allowing it to grow rapidly and gradually shed the framework of a mere cultivation method. Through crystal glass to treading sea, which was once merely the starting point of an immortal art, I now obtain a true immortal art. Pat it. Crystal glass to treading sea becomes clearer, clearer, and clearer still, until it suddenly reaches a state so transparent that even a cultivator's consciousness domain would struggle to perceive it. And at last, when my authority reaches its peak, flash, I finally complete the immortal art of crystal glass to treading sea once more. My immortal art, which had roughly taken shape during my advancement through the Earth Tribe pathway, becomes even clearer and more cohesive as I advance through the Heaven Tribe pathway. At the same time, a volcanic surge of momentum erupts within me. The advancement tribulation of the entering nirvana stage begins. Kurururum. By the time one reaches the entering nirvana stage, the level of heaven and earth spiritual energy generated within one's body surpasses imagination. Thus, from the entering nirvana stage onward, the form of heavenly tribulations completely transforms. Whereas before, one would withstand heavenly tribulations. Starting from the entering nirvana stage, one must cast down heavenly tribulations. Kururum. It feels as though the dragon vein within me is boiling over, and the laws of the sun and moon heavenly domain begin to extract something from within me. It is a star tribulation, completely opposite from the star-shattering stage. The advancement tribulation for the entering nirvana stages involves extracting the star tribulation from within oneself and embedding it into all the stars across the entire heavenly domain. I am being squeezed dry. Some law governing the heavenly tribulation is ringing me like crazy. As the star tribulation is squeezed and squeezed, eventually, all the true origin within a true person's body becomes hollowed out, leading to death. Enduring this process is the advancement ritual for entering nirvana, and because of the star tribulation bestowment ritual, those advancing to entering nirvana take thousands of years to complete the advancement ritual. They shoot out star tribulation in intervals of years. But I have no need for that. Kugugugugu. It's because the wave of volcanic authority stemming from vast cold's blessing surges out from my entire being, spreading wildly to the stars of the universe. The law of heavenly tribulation is relentlessly wringing out my power. It squeezes me so fiercely that, for a fleeting moment, I see the illusion of a soft foot before my eyes. I must not lose consciousness. I focus my mind and take out the dusk talisman I received from Banta. Wawoon. A powerful contracting force controls my star tribulation, preventing the power within me from instantly dissipating into emptiness. Of course, despite this, the terrifying power inside me continues to be squeezed outwards. However, the blessing of vast cold withstands this immense wringing and widely scatters the star tribulation across the entire sun and moon heavenly domain. As trillions, quadrillions of star tribulations are wrung out of me in an instant, I finally reach the realm of heaven and earth dual cultivation of the entering nirvana stage. Kugugugugu. The entire universe is connected to the star tribulation extracted from my body. The reason beings at the entering nirvana stage can manipulate starlight across thousands of light years is precisely because the star tribulation drawn from their bodies remains connected to the stars of the world. Wawoon. I smile at the flow of immortal art coursing through my body. This immortal art does not yet have a name. However, it is clear that the immortal art obtained through crystal glass to treading sea suits me well. I gaze upon my body, now separated from cedarwood painting. Kugugugugu. My body has become a complete white dwarf star. Although it is said that in the sacred vessel stage, one creates fixed stars, red giants, and white dwarfs, sacred vessels fundamentally lack any substance. The stars they create are merely effects granted by their realm, and cannot truly be called physical bodies. The main bodies of sacred vessels are better described as the attraction force, orbiting stars, red giants, white dwarfs, and other celestial bodies. However, now that immortal art resides within my body, the white dwarf star I had created has become my physical body. No, to be precise. Wawoon. I spin the white dwarf star. As it rotates, its form begins to change. It would instantly return to being a fixed star, then transform into another planet, sometimes becoming a black hole in the universe, and at other times taking the form of a blue giant, or even a black dwarf or a brown dwarf. Ying. I can now also project my main body and create planetary clones. This is what Yi calls troubled star, and is the foundation for her spells. Kugagugum. In the vast expanse of space, I transform my body in the combat technique form. The glass true fire of crystal glass to treading sea wraps around my body, forming winged garments. I look at cedarwood painting before me and at the planets and stars surrounding it. My combat technique form is now so massive that its sheer size approaches that of a fixed star. With the brute force of my physical body alone, I can now shatter stars and kill star-shattering stage cultivators. Ying. A halo of Taiji appears behind my head. During the heavenly being stage, the alignment of heaven, earth, and heart was required for the three great ultimates to appear. Editor. Three great ultimates is literally written as Sen, 3 Kaiji, Taiji. But now at the entering nirvana stage, the form of Taiji seems to manifest simply through heaven and earth dual cultivation. However, this form of Taiji doesn't seem to produce the overwhelming amplification of power achieved by the three great ultimates. Of course, it doesn't really matter. I briefly savor the sensation of reaching the entering nirvana stage. Cultivators, in fact, harbor many misconceptions. They believe that accumulating the cultivation of heaven and earth to reach the plane of fate is the method to becoming a true immortal. However, this is a massive misunderstanding. Reaching the plane of fate actually refers to the realm of entering nirvana. More specifically, the entering nirvana for heaven tribe cultivators. Earth tribe cultivators in the entering nirvana stage do not reach the plane of fate, but instead gain control of the plane of chi. Controlling a plane. This is the very precursor to becoming a true immortal, the quasi-immortal. From there, advancing to the true immortal realm through a specific ritual and attaining an immortal rank is what is known as true immortality. For this reason, many already consider those at the entering nirvana stage to be part of true immortality. This is what defines the entering nirvana stage. Wawoon. With the halo of Taiji shining behind my head, I extend my finger towards Seo Huiol, who is rushing towards his goal in the distance. The canvas of myriad forms and connections spreads across the head realm. It's possible. As an entering nirvana, I can vaguely sense that it is possible to alter Seo Huiol's history. Yet, because this is the head realm, the odds remain 50-50. Will you succeed, or will I save you? Today, the ill-fated connection between you and I will find its resolution. I issue a command to the stars connected to the star vein emanating from me. In the name of a quasi-immortal, I declare, let the stars of the nations hear me. Chapter 535, Severing Heaven, Dantan. 3. Kugugugugu. The starlight of the sun and moon heavenly domain begins to shift. The scene of Seo Huiol brainwashing the stars through tainted soul filling the heavens first appears, followed by the entering nirvana persons and bloodying. And then, it's the ability that Yeo Y had displayed. As I control the starlight connected to me, I realize one thing. The range of the star vein formation I can control is overwhelmingly greater than other entering nirvanas. Indeed, that if the range of a star vein formation that an average entering nirvana quasi-mortal can construct were said to be 10, the range I can construct reaches about 60 or 70. Far more stars submit to my command. Good, let's go. Carrying the hope on countless stars, I project that scene onto the canvas of myriad forms and connections. From the moment Seo Huiol's plan was formulated in the past life, to the scene where he brainwashes the head realm. The scene Seo ran tragically perishes, empowered by Seo Huiol's plan. And immediately after, the scene where Seo Huiol's history is rewritten and he meets a miserable end. Yun's play assists me as I once again unfold the extinguishing divine, tribulating heavens technique. Yurong. I deceive the world with an extinguishing divine, tribulating heavens, and draw upon the power of the fiercely rotating wheel. The star vein formation supports me. With more caution than in any previous rewrite, I offer my past as a sacrifice to extinguishing divine, tribulating heavens, and begin to twist history. I rewrite. Do. Even as a quasi-immortal, using an immortal art targeting the head realm requires utmost caution. After all, in the previous cycle, I saw 3 governing immortals that had been crushed and turned into middle realms. Someone like me could not dare use anything excessive against such a terrifying existence. I must not overreach. I must not hope for Seo Huiol's grand plan to succeed, and for him to return alive after conversing with the head realm. Nor can I blindly hope for Seo Huiol to fail within the head realm. All I must do is create the utmost justification for Seo Huiol's failure. If I interfere with the head realm beyond that, even I don't know what might happen to myself. O Seo Huiol, I do not interfere with the fate of the head realm. Instead, I rewrite the history of the being known as Seo Huiol. May thee realize the heart within thyself. Thump. In the depths of Seo Huiol's grand plan, the arrangements that Seo ran and I had planted until now begin to awaken. Now realize it, Seo Huiol. What I interfered with is neither Seo Huiol's fate nor the fate of the head realm. Rather, I twisted history just enough so that Seo Huiol can properly see the sincerity, Genshin, hidden deep within his own heart. Just when the brainwashing wave reaches the Sea Dragon Palace. Flash. From one point within Seo Huiol's brainwashing wave, a resplendently brilliant beam of light bursts forth. The beam of light takes the form of a 6-tailed fox and howls atop the brainwashing wave. The spirit body of the 4-axis stage Shurho begins to howl fiercely, disrupting Seo Huiol's brainwashing wave. Shattered and scattered across the universe through tainted soul filling the heavens, Shurho gained the justification to return through Seo Eunhyun's history revision. Ran Epsilon. However, Seo Huiol doesn't care and continues pushing the brainwashing wave forward. After all, to someone born as a sacred vessel, Shurho is nothing more than an insignificant creature he can kill at any time. That's how it should have been. Shurho shouts with all his remaining strength. Remember. Hearing those words, Seo Huiol feels an inexplicable churning sensation in his body. Shurho calls the name of that person, now erased. The pronunciation is muddled beyond recognition, and even Shurho himself doesn't know whom he's calling, but he calls nonetheless. Someone begins pulling Shurho who is within the head realm. It is Seo Eunhyun, who is outside the head realm. As if Shurho's role has ended the moment he called out S name once. Seo Eunhyun is summoning Shurho back. If he were to return, Shurho would likely be given a new body by Seo Eunhyun, resume cultivation, and continue to live. However, Shurho rejects even Seo Eunhyun's call and continues to scream towards Seo Huiol's brainwashing wave until the very end. Even as he detonates his own spirit body, he shouts into the depths of Seo Huiol's tainted soul filling the heavens. As if begging, pleading for even just a single moment to reach through. He becomes a pure white beam of light. Remember, IUEI. Shurho's spirit body exhausts all its strength above Seo Huil's brainwashing wave before disappearing entirely. I loved you. Not Seo Huil, but you, without even being able to save. Shurho, despite receiving another chance at life, vanishes. Seo Huil completely hurls Shurho's spirit into the afterlife, then settles into the Sea Dragon Palace, arriving at the southern end of the Head Realm sky. At the forehead of the Head Realm. Finally, I've arrived. Through tainted soul filling the heavens, Seo Huil's soul arrives directly at the edge of the Head Realm brainwashing wave. All that remains is to pierce through this forehead and exit the Head Realm. By doing so, the Head Realm will awaken, and Seo Huil will gain a brief opportunity to gaze upon the Akashic records stored within the depths of the Head Realm. He recalls the first time he saw the Akashic records. Back then, the Akashic records granted him the knowledge he desired. This time as well, the Akashic records will surely grant Seo Huil the knowledge of his origin that he desires. Then, Seo Huil will be absorbed into the Akashic records and, in turn, absorbed into his origin. In doing so, he will influence the origin that gave birth to him. At long last, Seo Huil's goal will be complete. At that moment, Seo Huil inexplicably feels something strange. Something is twisted. For some reason, he doesn't want to go beyond this forehead and be absorbed into the Akashic records. Seo Huil's heart is rejecting him. What is this? Why? He looks at his abruptly unmoving heart, taken aback. This isn't some peculiar spell. There isn't any trace of an immortal art. It's just, simply, his heart refuses to move his body. A mere heart. How dare it? Baduduk. Seo Huil grits his teeth. Tormenting him all throughout his life has always been the heart. From the very beginning, it was because he had a heart that he suffered. A mere heart. Seo Huil ignores his heart and forcibly raises his hand towards the southern end of the Head Realm. A mere heart. Finally, he grips the southern end of the Head Realm and tightly shuts his eyes. Just what have you done to me this time, Seo Eunhyun? Just one step forward, and his goal is within reach. However, that single step, his heart refuses to let him take it. The history that Seo Eunhyun rewrote for Seo Huil is only one single thing. The manifestations that Seo Eunhyun imprinted into Seo Huil's heart through beatings. Those hearts were not just simple hearts of the heart tribe. They were strikes infused with the hearts of every person who had been harmed by Seo Huil throughout Seo Eunhyun's life. From Seo Eunhyun himself, to Gyu Ryan, Gyu Baek, Yu Hua, Baekyeom, slave races, Su In and Hong Yun, and countless other living beings of the Sun and Moon heavenly domain. And even Seo Ran's heart. Seo Eunhyun engraved all those hearts, even if only in the form of manifestations, into Seo Huil's heart. And what Seo Eunhyun rewrote is this. To make the will of Seo Ran, which should have completely melted into tainted soul filling the heavens, remain intact, however, faintly. If even the faintest trace remains, Seo Ran will reawaken through the countless hearts Seo Eunhyun engraved. And Seo Ran will hold back Seo Huil's footsteps. That is the history of Seo Huil, rewritten by Seo Eunhyun. Seo Huil realizes this fact immediately. I see. So you're still alive within me. Staring at the Head Realm where Seo Huil resides, I bite my lip tightly. Please, Seo Ran. Be out. The odds are 50-50. Seo Ran will undoubtedly push aside Seo Huil and emerge through my arrangements. But the problem is, that place is the Head Realm. I have no idea what kind of variables might occur. Damn it. Damn it. Damn it. For the first time in his life, Seo Huil spits out crude curses and grits his teeth. Just what is a heart supposed to mean? Despite everything being right before his eyes, Seo Huil cannot move because of the aching presence of Seo Ran's heart within his chest. He remembers Seo Eunhyun's punches. He recalls every time Seo Eunhyun swung his fist, an unknown pain was engraved into him. Among those pains, there was one that felt familiar. He remembers Seo Eunhyun's filling the heavens governing view. He remembers the gazes that shone through the hazy mist of the canvas of myriad forms and connections. Those gazes were undoubtedly familiar. He remembers Shurho's call. In truth, Shurho was an insignificant being who had no connection to him. However, Shurho's call undoubtedly resonated within the depths of Seo Huil's heart. And Seo Huil realizes the cause of those feelings of déjà vu. Is it you? The words that he will never disappear. His gaze is reverberating within Seo Huil's chest. Suddenly, everything feels futile to him. What if he just lets go and watches to see what answer Seo Ran came up with? That's how much. Seo Ran's heart, resonating within Seo Huil, is overwhelmingly powerful. Based on Seo Ran's heart, the countless hearts Seo Eunhyun embedded within Seo Huil are trying to turn his steps around. At that moment, Seo Huiol suddenly sees the sun and moon of the head realm. He gazes into the light of the sun and moon. Within that light, he recalls his first parents. Seo Huiol remembers being loved by them when he was born, his parents from back then. And oh, Seo Huiol grits his teeth as he stares at the light of the head realm. Seo Ran's heart is undeniably intense. The hearts Seo Eunhyun arbitrarily implanted within him are also overwhelmingly strong. However, Seo Huiol remembers that he, too, possesses a heart. A fierce hatred begins to rise. In truth, if it were only hatred, Seo Huiol might not have been able to overcome Seo Ran and the other hearts. But today, Seo Huiol realizes what lies on the other side of this hatred. He realizes that he's been wanting to see his first parents once again. Just as the darkest shadows are born from the brightest light, the source of Seo Huiol's hatred is ultimately the hollow existence of his first parents. Therefore, Seo Huiol carries not only hatred but also a faint glimmer of hope. At least his first parents were real, existing beings. He has come all the way here for the faint hope, for the faint light, that he might have once been loved by those real, existing beings. Seo Huiol's hatred rivaling that of Great Mountain cannot overcome the heart Seo Eunhyun has built. However, that tiny spark of hope Seo Huiol has discovered deep within his heart. It allows Seo Huiol to stand against the hearts of Seo Eunhyun and Seo Ran. Seo Huiol breaks the restraints Seo Eunhyun has embedded in his chest and slowly reaches his hand towards the southern end of the sky. The light of the head realm is awakening Seo Huiol's hope. Must confirm. At last, Seo Huiol, still under Seo Eunhyun's numerous suppressions, reaches out towards the edge of the head realm. Transforming entirely into a mental wave, Seo Huiol directly moves and exits through the head realm's forehead. Or rather, he tries. Clench. Seo Huiol, whose upper body had been passing through the forehead, is yanked back by a firm hand grabbing his ankle. That hand grips Seo Huiol tightly and restricts his body with countless demon abilities. However, that being soon vomits blood under the countless waves surging out of Seo Huiol's body. The being throws Seo Huiol somewhere far away. A dimensional gate of the head realm is opened and Seo Huiol is sent flying somewhere in the astral realm. The one who threw Seo Huiol sinks beneath the sea of the head realm, vomiting blood. That being is Hong Fan, who has lowered his cultivation to the 4-axis stage to enter the head realm. Well done, Hong Fan. In the end, I failed to turn Seo Huiol back. However, Hong Fan had volunteered to stop Seo Huiol himself. I explained the dangers of the head realm, but Hong Fan insisted he would go, even if it meant lowering his cultivation realm. And Hong Fan seized a once-in-a-thousand-years opportunity to pull Seo Huiol out. He didn't awaken the head realm. I let out a sigh of relief. If Seo Huiol awakened the head realm, there would have been no way to deal with the consequences. I look at the place where Hong Fan threw Seo Huiol. There, Seo Huiol floats aimlessly in space with a blank expression. Whoa. At the same time, Seo Huiol's body inexplicably flickers with the powerful energy of Taiji, growing faint before reappearing in flashes. Even if he didn't awaken the head realm, that reaction, it seems as though he had glimpsed something deep within the head realm. Hong Fan's success in pulling Seo Huiol out was truly thanks to impeccable timing. If he had grabbed Seo Huiol just a little earlier, Hong Fan himself would have been brainwashed by tainted soul filling the heavens, while Seo Huiol was still conscious. If he had been just a little later, perhaps only Seo Huiol's pants would have remained. At the exact moment Seo Huiol pushed his head into the secrets of the head realm, glimpsed something, and lost consciousness, Hong Fan had pulled him out. It was truly an extraordinary decision. Rest for now. If it's only the 4-axis stage, you'll be safe even in the head realm. Once you return, I will spare no effort to ensure you reach the star-shattering stage immediately. Woo-woo. Feeling gratitude towards Hong Fan, I prepare to leap towards Seo Huiol location. Though Seo Huiol is flickering wildly across the surrounding space, the frequency of his flickering is gradually decreasing. It seems the effects of this something he witnessed in the head realm are fading with time. Now, everything is over. Seo Huiol. I reach my hand towards Seo Huiol, who for some reason still wears a dazed expression. When his tainted soul filling the heavens activated, all the tainted soul filling the heavens across the universe disappeared. Now, the only remaining tainted soul filling the heavens is the one flickering over there. And because of having witnessed something in the head realm, Seo Huiol seems unable to activate tainted soul filling the heavens any longer in his current state. In other words, there is only one chance to eradicate tainted soul filling the heavens and awaken Seo Ran, and that is now. Kugagagugagu. My hand leaps across the universe and reaches towards where Seo Huiol is. Just as I am about to seize Seo Huiol, pat it. Taiji seems to ripple around Seo Huiol, and Oh Hyesio appears, snatching his body away. She quickly begins to flee somewhere. It's not Oh Hyesio's main body. Is it a clone created through immortal beast Trueblood? Who? I observe her clone with interest. As her clone absorbs the Taiji rippling out of the dazed Xiao Huiol, she grows faster and stronger. I immediately grasp the principle behind it at a glance. Xiao Huiol's body is currently filled with the ancient force he gained from witnessing the head realm. And Oh Hyesio is able to absorb that ancient force for herself. She accelerates more and more, soon leaping light years away like someone in the star-shattering stage. Of course, this isn't true star-shattering level power, but rather a massive amplification of power through the immortal beast Trueblood due to the ancient force emanating from Xiao Huiol. It's quite a bold act. Despite the fear of being caught by me, daring to come here to rescue Xiao Huiol. It seems that she, too, has undergone a slight change of heart. But that's all there is. Wawoom. I clench my fist. From thousands of light years away, Oh Hyesio begins to be drawn into my grasp. I have the confidence to reverse track her clone's energy and pull her main body here in one go. Come, Oh Hyesio. Come here. Struck with horror, she seems to be trying to escape my attraction force while holding the dazed Xiao Huiol. But it's useless. Even if she somehow gained the power of the star-shattering stage through luck, it doesn't matter. Between her and me lies an insurmountable wall. She is already nothing more than an insignificant being, Weiwu. And that applies to Xiao Huiol as well, who has now consumed all of his tainted soul filling the heavens and is now half out of his mind. You too can no longer escape this immortal's grasp. I have already decided how to deal with Oh Hyesio. I gave her countless chances. The number of opportunities alone I gave her to correct her nature as she lived as a candle dragon surpassed thousands. Yet she kicked away every chance and even attempted to kill Shurho. Now, there will be no more chances. Her flesh will be modified into a living puppet by Kim Yun, her soul refined into a ghost king by Kong Minhee, and she will be turned into a puppet Dharma treasure that practices the ghost path method, eventually becoming one of our immortal treasures. And Xiao Huiol will never be able to come back to life. All that will remain in this world will be Xiao Ran. It's just when I think so. Dium. A faint sound of a Brahma bell rings, and I realize the stars around me have stopped moving. At the same time, the flames of the nearby fixed stars freeze. The sacred masters and true persons who have been communicating with me fall silent. My comrades, who have been raising a celebratory toast, freeze in place. This is time in the sun and moon heavenly domain has momentarily stopped. And then, a familiar old man appears before my eyes. The immortal treasure of the heavenly venerable of time. South Polar ritual treasure, Yang Sung. I no longer feel the same fear as before and calmly ask, "What brings you here, agent of time?" Yang Sung asks me with a dry expression. "You have tampered with providence. Did you stop the end of the sun and moon heavenly domain?" Seeing Yang Sung's demeanor, I feel relieved. The fact that he chooses to speak through mental speech in consideration for me means he holds some goodwill towards me. That is correct. Your recent actions have disrupted providence, resonating and spreading widely with the beings who govern death, end, and restart. Moreover, it caused a powerful vibration impossible for us gods of the time lineage to overlook. Yang Sung continues speaking with an indifferent face. In particular, it directly resonated with me, the agent of the Lord, and with the Lord's direct disciples. And, while I do not care, one faction among the Lord's direct disciples have been deeply angered by you. They will soon descend upon the sun and moon heavenly domain to judge you and your associates. Who are they? At my words, Yang Sung lowers his voice and responds. Northern Dipper 7 heavenly lords, Braiduchi, Tenjin. Comparable to the underworld 10 kings of the netherworld, they will soon descend using their pawns within the sun and moon heavenly domain. I let out a low hum at his words. Why are you telling me this? Are you not on the same side? They differ in opinion from me. More importantly, the Lord has shown you respect. That alone is far more than enough of a reason enough for me to aid you. Wawoom. Yang Sung clenches his fist and extends something towards me. It is a small celestial sphere, resembling the main body of the South Polar ritual treasure Yang Sung. The great desolate path of Golden Divine is an imitation of me. Because of that, I can intervene to some extent. If you go to the lightning sacred sea and use this celestial sphere, you'll be able to activate the great desolate path once. Use it to escape to another heavenly domain. I look at him and ask one question. Can my comrades move with me as well? If you force them in, one other person could accompany you. But any more is difficult. I have no interest in your comrades. Then I refuse. If I leave my comrades behind, and they are all torn apart by enraged true immortals, as happened during the phenomena extinguishing mantra incident, what would I do then? At my words, Yang Sung furrows his brow. That is foolish. They will not descend in their main bodies, but rather project themselves through their pawns in the sun and moon heavenly domain. But even so, their projections are strong. Each and every one of them can annihilate all the mortal beings in the sun and moon heavenly domain. If all 7 descend, even killing blood-in would not be impossible for them. If they are such beings, then all the more reason for me to bring my comrades along. If I cannot go with them, I will not go at all. Foolish. Unless you are at the level of vast cold in their youth, you cannot stop them. That may be true. However, I calmly convey my will to Yang Sung. Running away alone, without doing anything, is something I hate more than death. I've already experienced such pain deep in my bones under the great mountain supreme deity. I will not endure such suffering again, even if we all have to die together. Yang Sung stares at me silently for a moment, then lets out a small sigh. He hands me the celestial sphere and turns around. Do as you wish. If this is your will, I will not stop you. Wawoom. With those words, Yang Sung disappears from sight. And from where he vanishes, a brief echo of his voice lingers, breathing hope into me. Among your subordinates, the one called Yeo Y is a pawn of the Northern Dipper 7 heavenly lords. Originally, their descent requires the power of 49 entering nirvana beings. With one missing, their descent will be incomplete, to the point where even with 7, they probably will not be able to catch blood-in. This is the only aid I can offer you. I will accept it gratefully. I take the celestial sphere and store it within my domain for now. It is said receiving something from true immortals brings misfortune, but this is a time where I must accept it. This is, quite literally, the final bastion. Kajigajik. I turn my gaze towards a point in the universe. As Yang Sung said, somewhere in the sky, familiar figures are at work. They are all too familiar. Truly, you all share such a sickening ill fate with this immortal. The nearly 50 entering nirvanas who have been bothering me since the nether ghost realm. Now reduced to 48 with Yeo Y's absence. These entering nirvana true persons are linking their star veins together, drawing some kind of star vein formation in the cosmic space. I glance between them and Seo Huiol before extending my hand towards Seo Huiol. Woo-woo. A gang sphere clone extends from my hand and flies towards Seo Huiol and Oh Hi Seo. Capture Oh Hi Seo and witness Seo Huiol's conclusion. At this point, that is the extent of their significance to me. To prepare to face the Northern Dipper 7 heavenly lords, who are said will appear to threaten me, I begin flying towards the star vein formation.